Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 482 for the week of January 5th, 2021. It's a whole new world, a whole new year.
We made it.
We made it. We made it. We're recording about 9 o'clock p.m. Western time. So the Georgia results are just coming, final, kind of closing up here as we're recording. So good start to the year so far. Hey, my name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Taker.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
Oh, look at that.
An intro that Ryan loves. It's smooth, no problems, no hiccups.
Toby is coming. He's just running late. So, well, I mean, we'll see if he shows up before we stop recording.
And if he doesn't, then you can hang out and record all of his audio one-on-one.
And then intersplice it with ours.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. The magic of the internet. I've already recorded. You guys are going to hear it after, but I've already recorded with Bryce, Lane, and Jim, our good friend. Scott was supposed to join us, but couldn't last minute, so I'm just going to see if we can get him on in the next week or two. And so the back half of this podcast is you're going to be hearing about them. And this is not a normal episode. 2020 was a hell of a year for all sorts of stuff.
Wouldn't this would normally be the episode of everybody's favorite comic book movies, TV shows, indie books, and big two books. Yeah.
We normally, like last year, we kind of did a little bit different with the comics just because I know our reading schedules were kind of thrown off. And, I wasn't trying to, like Charlie, you've moved mostly to like the digital Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe. So your reading is going to be behind a little bit current from where everything else is.
Yes, 3 to 6 plus months until DC launches Infinite, then it will be 6 months.
Yeah. I know my indie reading has been almost non-existent the last couple of years. I've just been catching up with so many books. Our kind of, I felt it was a little harder to do our normal comic lists, so we sort of adapted it last year. And it's even more different this year because really we don't have the shows and definitely not the movies to talk about in the same level. There were, we got the tail end of all the superhero shows at the start of the year, but we only got a couple of them that came through during COVID. Like we got Boys, Umbrella Academy. Yeah. What else? Stargirl. That finished up early. So there was definitely a handful, but so many shows haven't come back. And definitely the movies obviously being the biggest thing. We've really only had a couple of the movies. So I felt like, this, like, we can't do, it just doesn't work, right? We'll take a big asterisk. We'll just put Wonder Woman 1984 is the best comic book movie of the year and just move on from there, right? So I know Kevin, get your endorsement.
Would you rate that above Birds of Prey?
Did I rate it above Birds of Prey? I don't even remember if I did. I have my list. Where's my?
Because basically all of us can make a top 4. It's those two, New Mutants and Bloodshot.
So,
and I haven't seen 2 of them.
Yeah, right.
You're forgetting Old Guard.
Yeah, most of us have not seen 3 of the top 5 movies. Of the only 5 movies.
I saw Bloodshot, bitches.
5 comic book movies came out this year, and we're like, only 5. Imagine going to like 1989 and being, hey, you just walked out of Batman, right? Imagine a world where there's 5 of these a year. What the fuck? Now we're just like, oh, there's only 5 of them.
You would have killed people because there would have been many heart attacks.
It would have been especially funny if you time traveled back and said that and then named what the titles were.
New Mutants. Okay, Wonder Woman, you're good. But the other 3 would be like, wait,
Birds of Prey?
Huh?
Bloodshot?
Old Guard?
When we started talking the comic TV shows, it suddenly hit me that Crisis was less than a year ago.
Yeah. The last season.
Crisis was exactly a year ago because it was like right into January, right?
Wasn't it like the end of December and like the
That's true.
Year, January, so it would have been like now.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to bother with the list. You know, I mean, we love lists, but I just wanted to kind of talk to everyone and say, how's everyone doing? What's going on? Obviously, Bryce and the other guys, we had a longer conversation with, I think, just because, you know, we haven't heard from them quite as much. And you know, good old Bryce, he's always got something to say. But yeah. 2020, hell of a year. How is everyone? Like, let's step back from the comic book end of things here. You know, I mean, we talk about the store pretty regularly, but you know, just what now that we're in 2021, what's the state of you guys? Because we kind of did this when COVID first hit. Of just kind of touched base with everyone, being like, what's going on? So now that we're through the year, we have a whole year of stuff ahead of us. We expect the movies will start coming out. We expect the shows are going to start back up soon. Comic books are back in full swing. Blah blah blah. So we're going to leave 2020. How's everyone doing, Brock?
Yeah, how
you doing?
Yeah, I got to wear 3 hats almost every single day, but it's all right.
Now you're people that know you work in school.
Yes.
Do you have they given you any info on kind of coming back when all that stuff starts back up again?
No, they were supposed to try and have something in place for when we went back, because we came back today.
Yeah.
And
it's still all remote.
It's still, we're still remote completely. But a lot of, I think the people that work in our district are like, we're not going back until like it's safer. Right.
Yeah.
I know today, like a lot of people were talking about, schools are safe and the transmission between kids, I'm like, is not proven. I'm like, yeah, because the kids haven't been exposed to each other this entire time.
Yeah, not too much.
So I'm hoping that they just say we're good to finish the school year remote and just, you know, we plow through till June. And then August is when we finally just, you know, come back, because hopefully by then we'll have, you know, a high enough level of vaccination and the herd immunity can start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically just staring at avatars that high school kids picked when they're middle schoolers and they can't change the pictures. So you got a lot of ridiculous stuff, and
you don't make them be on camera or anything.
It's a slippery slope when it comes to that stuff. So, much like most school rules in classrooms, so it just depends.
Yeah.
On what the teacher wants and how the teacher runs their classroom.
So 2020 for you, Brock, comic wise. And we'll maybe start with comics, and then we'll kind of head off to TVs and movies for everyone in the back for kind of a more general discussion. Again, no need for lists, all that type of stuff. Blah 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 blah. What's your feelings? How'd you like the year? You know, once things came back, you know, if you got a book you want to kind of throw out as something you really enjoyed, are you caught up?
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, again, kind of sort of an alternate time, but one of the things you definitely talked about was a lot of people redoing their collection, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, give me your comic 2020.
I'm probably about, as of this week, about this week plus a week and a half behind. So, you know, I finished a couple things because they needed to be finished up quick, because it was like Death Metal 7, all that stuff. But for the most part, it's been fairly consistent with, you know, staying kind of either caught up or, you know, week or so behind. So,
but you're current up to Death Metal 7, you said?
Yeah, I'm current up to Death
Metal 7.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk Metal next week. So just for anyone wondering, next week we're gonna talk about Metal and the state of DC Comics and kind of everything going on. So.
Standouts for me this year. I really loved Strange Adventures. Like, it had a really solid start, and then it kind of COVID hit, and there was just this kind of stop in the pacing, but it still kept up and been very, very good. So I've really enjoyed that one. An Aftershock book called We Live really kind of caught my attention, and I think number 1's even on like a 3rd printing right now. But I really like that one. It was really interesting. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we got all the 3 Jokers. Woohoo! Like,
yeah, that was. Kevin, get your list when we come to you. We'll talk. Get that ready.
My list. Oh, the poll?
Yeah. Get that ready.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 Jokers. For those that don't remember, was last year's winner of me and Kevin's the most likely unlikely thing to happen. Of these unlikely things, what will actually happen? And 3 Jokers coming out entirely within 2020 was the winner. So,
hey, what's impressive is it came out, it was on time, and they got a hardcover out.
Yeah, like the month after. Yeah, those hauled some ass. Yeah. So that's fantastic.
That's okay. I'm still waiting for the next hardcover.
The big one, the oversized one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna. What's 10 times dip?
Yeah, because you're getting the hardcover, the soft cover, the absolute.
I got the cover and all the variants. So that's 5. That's 5 times. I got the hardcover and I got the Barnes and Noble hardcover that had the book plates.
Oh, okay.
So that's 7. So the oversized deluxe hardcover will be 8. The absolute will be 9. You know, I don't know what they're absolute with scripts and I'm sure they'll do sketches or something. 'Cause it's 3 issues, but they will do an absolute of that because they've done one for all the Jeff Johns stuff.
They did an absolute for Killing Joke.
Well, not for all the Jeff Johns stuff, not like for the super long runs, but one and done story like this, they will absolutely do an absolute for.
Yeah.
Well, Brock, Killing Joke has 2 versions of it in the absolute.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
and I mean, they have a history of being able to do $50 absolutes and $75 absolutes for smaller content. Now, mind you, sometimes they still decide how to push the content to a point where it shouldn't necessarily be pushed. Like there's a couple where I feel like they rather than just kind of being like, this is a content that should be an absolute, they go, okay, what can we put in here to justify the price and the absolute format? And that's why you have Killing Joke with 2 versions, and you have Batman Year One with 2 versions of the same, like 2 different inking. I think it was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Volume 2 that had like the one hardcover of the actual book and then another hardcover of like scripts and other stuff. Like they will pad as much as they need to pad to justify an absolute.
Yeah. Oh, Lane Terasaki has joined our video chat, but he is not in the actual recording. I don't know if he means to be on here. Hello, Lane. You're in the wrong thing. Yeah, the absolutes they've been light. They've done some reprints, but they've been doing like Transmet and what's the other one? Preacher, right? They just finished. They finished Preacher?
I think they finished Preacher.
Yeah.
So they did.
So they're doing. They've done fewer of those one-offs. They've done more.
They did Wide Last Man. Finish that one.
Yes, they finished Wide Last Man.
Was that only 2? No, that was 3.
It should have been at least.
That was 3.
Yeah, it should have been 3 at least.
Yeah, it was 3, and they finished it. Yeah. I can picture the cover they used for the final absolute. So yes, they finished it.
Yeah. So, those absolutes are great. I've got a collection. I can't fit too many more into my collection though. I think Toby has finally joined the chat.
Is Toby in the chat as Lane?
No, Lane's on our video call, and okay. Toby's in the recording. So, well, we will. We'll go Kevin next. Kevin.
Yes.
2020. How you doing? You're working.
What?
You're working.
Yes. So okay. A lot of people.
I know you don't have to give you like.
No, but I know a lot of people are worse off. So let's just all introduce with that.
Oh yeah, no, again, my part of this was
I know. So, but I'm saying before I complain about anything, I just want to say I recognize that many people are worse off.
Of course.
It's been a year, right? I mean, it's hard to come up with something we haven't talked about at some point. I really miss conventions. Yeah. Really. Well,
and that was another part of this is I didn't want to let's celebrate 20 because fuck that. Like there's nothing to celebrate.
Yeah. So, I know. I miss seeing my friends who I only see at cons.
Yeah.
Present company excluded. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had that has some variation on this sentence. Oh, we're definitely going to have to do blank when things get back to normal. My list of that is probably, not even joking, 24 items long.
My fear, though, is I expect a lot of people are going to be like, maybe I'm not ready ready to go out, even if things are better, it's kind of weird. If you were a little bit more reclusive or a little bit more antisocial, this definitely did not help at all.
Right.
So I could see, and a lot of nerdy people tend to kind of be like that. So I think I could see people just being like, you know what, cons, I'm gonna hang out for a little bit, maybe pass on them for a couple of years. I'll wait. That's my fear.
If you were a on the fence germaphobe, you're definitely staying home.
I don't know. I will say that I missed the hunt that I'd go through at cons looking for this omnibus or this book that I've had my eye on that went out of print or whatnot. But I've found variety thing between Facebook groups and that kind of stuff that has kind of filled that void this year, which is kind of good, kind of bad. Because I will say I pass on a lot more because when you are there physically at the table and you see the price and you kind of get that adrenaline going of, wow, that's a great bargain, and you don't want to walk away from it. That pushes me more than seeing something post online that I can wait for the next time if I decide I really want that.
Yeah. And similar to that, Charlie, to Facebook groups, I have watched so many art live streams this year. Mm-hmm. Even if I have no skin in the game, like nobody's drawing something for me, I will just watch anyway because it's the closest thing to being at a con.
Yeah.
Well, you might have to think about that too. Some of these artists might go, fuck, the travel to San Diego and the cost of a booth and the setup and the time. Yeah, it's cool to see my friends, but I could do this shit in my pajamas.
Yeah.
And reach a larger audience.
Yeah, we're going to
don't make me feel worse, Ryan. Come on. I've tried to. You're asking how I just got through the damn year. Don't pile on.
No, this is going to change stuff. This really is.
We're not recording in the shop anymore.
Yeah.
Ryan's like, F that. I'm recording with my pen.
I never want to see anyone again. Get home, eat some lunch, eat some dinner by myself, and.
Ryan is on his own there. Like, I want us to be back together, face to face, even Brock.
Yeah,
it is.
I would like to see you too, Tobias. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I mean, it's just not the same. I mean, Ryan will fucking live in his pajamas if he can, but not me, man. I like human peoples, and I like seeing them in person, and I miss them dearly. So I really miss the. Look. I actually really enjoyed having saved the coin this year because both Kevin and Charlie know I've been buying a lot of books at a lot of places, and it would have not been possible if I did any cons. So it kind of like the con budget went elsewhere. But I really do miss the cons, and it's weird because there's a few years I had a bad couple experiences at San Diego. But the last couple of them, man, there were some of the best ones, and one of the best ones was with you, Ryan, motherfucker.
Well, and I say this all the time. My job is I'm surrounded by friends and like-minded people all the time. So a con is not an escape for me. A con is just more work. It's more of the same thing I do all the time. That's not how it is for most people. So I totally understand, right? I totally get it. And especially for creators, I think cons are like we can escape. Not escape their family like they don't like them, but just like I could just hang out with because they don't go to an office to work, right? It's all alone, it's all remote.
When we were
almost
at
every
that
creator.
DC party, like talking to these artists and writers, man, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, fuck my normal life. This is the life I want.
I hear you, Toby.
Yeah.
100% agreement.
If that is your normal life, it's like, okay, well, this is cool,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, I like cons. It's just my day is partly like a convention at points, so it doesn't mean quite the same to me, just because of the store. So yeah, it's very different. But yes, Kevin, your art. I comic wise, if you've got anything comic specific you want to talk about, but I know your art collection has been sort of much
Yeah, I'm
Toby and
yeah.
Charlie.
Much like Toby and Charlie's book collection.
Yeah.
Hey, I did do one. Well, no, actually, I did 3 art purchases this year, and all on a complete whim. And
I wish I could say that.
I think I scored one of the best pieces in my complete collection, like my entire collection this year, which I'm completely floored by when I received it.
What was it? I don't think you told me about this.
It's an artist from Brazil, Marcelo Ventura, and he did a fully painted Dungeons and Dragons piece from the cartoon.
Oh wow!
And oh man, like it's funny because a friend of mine sent me his post because he did a sorceress, and I looked because it's like he had a couple of things for sale, and it was like, oh, sorceress is cool, and then I clicked on the next one, and I'm so happy I did because then I saw this piece, the Dungeons and Dragons one,
Yeah.
and I was completely floored, and I messaged the dude right away. I'm like, please still have this, please still have this, and it's at a cost. It's far cheaper than what most people are asking for at convention.
Yeah.
For something of this quality. I was like completely floored. I mean, it's going to be on my wall. I can't wait to have it on my wall.
That's cool. Kevin, you are. We mentioned this, I think, when you kind of first started.
Yeah. So it started at the end of 2019 when a friend of mine, an artist who was going through a rough financial patch, started doing commissions. And I'm like, well, this is not really something, I had gotten Steve Root and John Byrne and various people over the years at cons, but it wasn't really something. So I just did something to help kind of throw some coin in her jar.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun that I'm like, well, let me do another one. And then let me do another one. And then from between November, so in November of 2019, I think I owned, if we count convention sketches and things like that, as well as full commissions, I probably owned 10 pieces of comic art in November of 2019. By February of 2020, I probably owned 30. And so what was happening was, especially without cons, all these artists would open up like an at-home commission list.
Yeah.
So instead of going to their table and rushing there as soon as the doors open at the con and hoping to get on the list, it's as easy as just sending an email. Maybe you make it or maybe you don't. Maybe you're on the waiting list and somebody flakes. Who knows? But what was happening was it wasn't just, hey, draw me Superman, and then they go do it. It was kind of a back and forth dialogue with, here are some ideas of mine. You can kind of shape this the way you want to go with it. And so it became like collaborating on a project, if that makes sense. Even though I'm just kind of the patron who's paying for it, I felt like it was a relationship, like a collaborative relationship.
You were basically getting a bunch of tattoo art done. Yeah,
and it fed itself. And I was aware of how much money I was spending. God, I was aware. but it was so much each time, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to take it easy now. And then I'd see, oh, artist X, George Perez list just opened. Like, well, okay, I'm back in, damn it. And each time though, it gave kind of the dopamine rush of that shopping gives, or like making something gives, where each time it like kept feeding itself, and it was so much fun. And so now, as Brock can attest, I've got this portfolio which was empty, which I didn't even own in 2019, which is now 6 pages away from being completely full.
Yep.
And so this is a long answer to your question, Ryan, which was talk about my art. So that was my big expense of 2020.
So Do you continue this in 2021 if cons open up, or this was your con money basically?
Yes,
So.
this was my con money. I've committed to, so I'm on I've still got 3 that I don't have in hand yet. Yeah. And I'm on 3 wait lists for 2021. And I've committed to, once I get to the end of this portfolio, and I if Lane's on here, he's going to be sorry to hear this. Kind of my commitment at this point is once I get to the end of this portfolio, I'm stopping. Cool. Once there are no more pages, I'm stopping.
Finish it.
Well,
Yeah.
There's always a second portfolio to be gotten.
Sorry, what?
There's always a second portfolio to be gotten.
Yeah, see, that's the argument. But anyway, let's talk about comics.
Volume 2.
Yeah, let's talk about comics.
Yeah, so you've always been. I won't say picky, but you are. You've always been more picky in what you read. No. I don't know. Absolutely. I don't know what to say that.
No, you're right.
Only the best for Kevin.
If I worked at a comic book store, like back in the old days, I read literally everything that came in.
Yeah.
Garbage, great stuff, mediocre stuff. But now, yeah, it's much more picky. Yeah. So
when we get to Charlie, because because Charlie's had at this point a lot more experience with the digital services, I think, than any of us, maybe all of us combined. Have you considered that, or can you just not do the tablet?
Oh no, I've got a bunch of. See, the problem is I know Charlie's on the DCU and Marvel Unlimited, and I still, I guess, have that DC subscription. Yeah. I have so many things on my Kindle that I have purchased from Comixology and not yet read.
Okay.
That a service with like an all-you-can-eat buffet is not as appealing when you've got sacks of takeout food already in your car. And I can't wade into it. I mean, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do the poll, or you want me to do comics I liked?
Oh, but either way. But yeah,
okay.
Let's end with the poll.
Okay, comics I liked real quick. I loved Wonder Woman: Dead Earth, the Black Label mini, and I know people had a problem with how kind of Wonder Woman looks quote unquote ugly in the book. And yes, if you just cut out a panel and displayed it, you'd go like, that's an ugly Wonder Woman. But in the context of the
supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like a Mad Max story, basically.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. It was so much fun to read. As the best description I can give is it was like reading a movie. And if anybody who read it, I think that will make sense. Yeah, it's just kind of hard to convey it.
Yeah.
The other book I just want to call out real quick, and I know there's some confusion between these two titles, is Marvel's Snapshot and the series called Marvel. I don't know why those would be confusing at all.
Did you know that Marvel's is just got announced?
Yes. And then there's also Marvel's X, right?
And no relation to Marvel's. I mean, there actually is a relation to Marvel's, but it's Marvel's. It's not Marvel. It's also like
Marvelous.
So Marvel's
covers by Alex Ross.
Marvel's Snapshot is each of those books is one story, and it's set somewhere in past continuity, kind of as a companion piece to a regular. Like there's a Civil War one. There's an Avengers versus Count Nefaria, which is like the late 70s. There's a Golden Age Submariner. So it's one story, Marvel's Snapshot. And then Marvel is an anthology book where there's usually, I think, 4 stories per issue, each by a different artist. And I just got to call out, I really enjoyed both of those, but I just got to call out the latest issue of Marvel has a story written and drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz, with the Watcher doing stand-up comedy that becomes a story about the history of human desire to make art. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the great thing is you just never know what you're going to get. You know, with any anthology book, you're going to go somewhere like, oh, that one's kind of a dud. That one's great. That one was okay. It's kind of all over the place, but that's the fun of it. So those are the books I just want to call out. Dead Earth, Marvel's Snapshot, and Marvel.
So 2021, Kevin.
Yes, the poll.
A lot of stuff is going to happen, but there's 4 things that probably won't.
So as of now, you want to talk about live poll watching?
Yeah.
As of now, the results that are in with most of the precincts are closed at this point.
So this is things that might happen in 2021.
Which of these, the way it's worded, which of these is the most likely for 2021? and everybody on this call can certainly vote on this too. Which of these is most likely? So I'll just tell you how they come in on the voting.
Well, let's do this. Read them top to bottom, and then we'll all give our answer, and then you can, you can give.
Here we go.
I didn't look at the final numbers.
Okay, I got the final numbers here. Okay, so this is not like set it in stone. This is if you had to bet. So nobody be obnoxious and say none of them. Come on. If you had to play the game, if you had to bet, which of these is the most likely? The Return of Saga.
So new issues of Saga. Right?
New issues of Saga. DC collecting the Robinson Starman, either omnibus, absolute, whatever, any format.
Little backstory on this one, only because this seemed to be kind of the one that more people commented on.
Yeah.
Starman was originally collected in shitty old DC trade paperbacks, kind of out of order, no numbering, blah, blah, blah. They did a beautiful set of 5 hardcovers. 5? I have them. I think it's 5. 5 hardcovers. They then collected the soft covers. They did 2, I believe. It was more than 1. I think they only did 2, and then they canceled it. And then they resolicited it, and then canceled them. And then they said they were going to do an omnibus, and then they canceled it. And they said they were going to do an omnibus again, and then they canceled it. Now there is a compendium that's called an omnibus that's priced like a compendium. It says it's soft cover. It got pushed out from like December, so just just last month, to now like June or July. And the it's either going to be like a 1,200 page soft cover, so that maybe like bone size for $60.
No, that would be the compendium size for like Walking Dead.
Not the DC ones though. Look at Ex Machina, look at Fables; those are smaller.
Okay,
right?
Okay.
So either they're going to go just put like 2/3 of the series into one compendium. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Okay, that's why I just want this in this list.
Yeah. So point being, Robinson's Starman collected in some new editions this year.
Actually released this year.
Okay. Next is the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Oh,
which this is different than the Snyder cut because Ayer says all the footage exists. They don't have to shoot anything.
Yeah.
His movie was made and then taken away from him. So it would be just what his original version was. And finally...
And that's announced, too, not actually released.
Right, announced.
They're going to release it this year.
I mean, I suppose you could release it in this calendar year if it already exists.
Announced.
Okay, announced.
At least announced.
Finally, after the teases going back to, I believe, 2015 or 2014, the scripts are written, the art is not done, but The Return of Miracle Man at Marvel, written by Gaiman, drawn by Mark Buckingham. Neil says Buckingham is currently drawing the issues.
And he's been saying that for 5 years.
Okay, so there you go. Saga, Starman, Suicide Squad, or Miracle Man. Everybody make your pick. Most likely to happen, not guaranteed going to.
Yeah. Which of those do you think has the best shot of happening? Now, I mean, a lot of people think Saga, right? I think I'm going to say I'm going to say Saga wins the poll. I haven't looked.
Okay, but what's your answer?
But I don't think it does. I think they take another year off, especially with he's working on Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, maybe he had 25 issues done, and Fiona Staples is just drawing her ass off, and they're going to put out 2 or 3 issues this year. But I just don't see it.
Well, what's your answer, Ryan?
I voted for the Starman trades. I think it's actually going to happen.
Okay.
So fool me 7 times, but I think we're going to get this one.
I need to ask, do you think, in terms of the Starman answer, is it that they will put out one Starman trade that
I think
who knows if they will finish, or do you think they will actually put out the entire run this year?
No, I don't know. I think we will get that first compendium. It will be edited from what it says in the solicitation currently, because the numbers just don't add up. But I think we will get that because I was talking with the DC before the layoffs and the shutdown and everything about the omnibuses, and I gave my personal suggestion of what I think they should do. Unfortunately, I don't let those people work at DC anymore. So I assume the omnibus is off the table, but I think that compendium will happen as solicited, just with a slightly different content amount. I think that's
So I have a follow-up question to that, because when you say the omnibus is off the table, I'm sitting here going, I've been watching the releases of omnibuses over this past year,
it's nuts.
And the amount of stuff that just comes out, sells out, comes out, sells out, maybe gets a reprinting 3 to 6 months down the road in some cases. But like you look at like the Burn She-Hulk that came out, was gone, and then they did like a restock 6 months later or something.
Yeah.
Given the current climate, I almost feel like as long as this is going, any omnibus that comes out right now seems to be on this quick pickup grab mode. And given that, I don't know that an omnibus is off the table. If they're looking at the sales of current omnibuses, it almost seems like those sales would justify more.
I said the exact same thing. And I had very specific suggestions on how to sell them. If you think that there's a chance of it not, maybe being the number you really want, how to boost those early numbers. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So, Charlie, what's your vote?
So I think they will start the Starman in some form this year. I think that is fairly likely. I don't think at all that it will be finished this year. In fact, if you ask me to place a bet, I think it's more likely we'll get a volume 1 this year, maybe a volume 2 next year. Then there'll be like a 3-year break.
So going back to their old way.
Yeah, like 3 volumes would be the whole series in the current kind of suggested.
I know, but it's like when I look at Justice League International that just had its like volume 2 come out and stuff, that took for bloody ever between the volume 1 and volume 2.
Yeah.
So I just my viewpoint on this kind of stuff is you'll, especially if they put out an omnibus or a big collection, you'll get the volume 1 out, and it will stick around for a while. It may even sell out super fast. And yet, for some reason, a volume 2 will not be solicited right away. We'll have to wait a good 8 months between volume 1 and volume 2 to even be mentioned.
Okay, Brock, what's your vote?
Come
on, you've had all this time to think about it.
I know. But I'm thinking about it going, wow, they would have already had a copy of the Ayer cut, so really it's just hitting undo until they get back to it, right? And I think it just depends on how the Snyder Cut is received. We could potentially get it at the end of the year.
What's your vote?
Fine, Suicide Squad, because it'll be different than everybody else.
Okay.
Think they're gonna announce it. Okay.
Toby?
The amount of fucking omnibuses they announced, I would not be surprised if Starman gets omnibus.
All right. Well, here are the results from the voting public.
Kevin, what do you think?
I'm going to say Saga.
You want it so bad.
That's not my number one. Like I'm speaking with my head and not my heart.
Yeah. Well, we know your heart's Miracle Man.
My heart is Miracle Man.
But you know it's not happening.
Well, speaking of that, 6% of the voting public, 6% of the voters chose Miracle Man.
Miracle Man, not Starman. Sorry.
At a distant fourth place.
You think Miracle Man's going to happen?
Me?
No, Toby. The omnibus is...
It was Miracle Man was the...
Starman is the omnibus.
Miracle Man is just the new issues.
Got it.
Or not necessarily an omnibus, any form. Okay.
Any collection.
Yeah. So fourth place was Miracle Man. Third place at 17% was the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I think it's possible, but they got to look at those Snyder Cut numbers.
The argument is though that it already exists, and that's the big. That's why I even put it on there rather than just making up some fantasy cut of something.
I'll go double or nothing. I'll vote for that one too.
Okay, third place at 22% is Starman, and a runaway first place. 54% of people chose Saga.
Well, 54% of people are going to be very disappointed in December. That's all I'm saying, okay? We all want Saga to come back, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think people last year were like, yeah, this is the year. And it's like, nope.
When a series goes on hiatus,
What are we, 3 years now?
Well, and plus where they left off.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
That's what makes it even worse.
Oh.
I mean, it's the halfway point, he said. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. But we're, look, we're not Game of Thrones, level yet. But Saga's gonna be a while, guys.
2018.
Was that the trade or was that the final issue?
That was the 54, issue 54.
What month?
July.
Okay, so we're 2.5 years out.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So, yeah, the trade would have come out like shortly after that, then I think. So, yeah.
I guess we can revisit this topic in December.
We'll see. All right.
And now on to the man who I've spoken to only in his driveway, it feels like, for all of 2020.
Yeah.
Charlie, how you doing? How's 2020? How did 2020 treat you at the end of the day?
I mean, it treated me to be expected at the end of the day. Like, it seems very straightforward what we were going to get out of 2020 by the midway point. Like, the fuck 2020 just became the standard rally cry of the entire year. So, from a personal perspective, I don't have much to complain about in terms of I've had my job, I've had sort of stability. Yes, my kids were learning from home, but that's not really a huge issue for me. Like that, I think that affects my wife more than it does me, especially since I'm working at the same time. Reading wise has been an interesting shift because I went from already having scaled back at the shop so I could kind of pick and choose what big things I wanted to keep up with to really that choice between, okay, do I start buying single issues again or do I just accept I'm going to be behind? And I kind of fell on the accept I'm going to be behind. And that's part of the reason why when Marvel made that big shift to the only 3 months behind, I was like, and now they have me. I will absolutely subscribe to the service to only be 3 months behind. Because, like, the DC service especially weirds me out because they're still adding issues of Superman I already read before everything shut down.
Yeah. You're in that crossover point where it hasn't fully switched over.
Yeah. So when I switched to, the Marvel one, that was a huge deal for me because I literally was able to be like, ooh, I haven't read an issue of Amazing Spider-Man in who knows how long at that point. So I was able to read 20 issues straight, especially because I restarted on the Spencer run. So I just read through what they had. So that was actually 40-something issues. I caught up on Immortal Hulk. I caught up on various X titles that I could. They just started the X of Swords stuff on there.
I was going to say 6 months feels that's pretty far back. 3 months is a blink of an eye, dude. 3 months is nothing. That's a really quick turnaround.
And at 3 months, I can start reading X of Swords before the hardcover comes out.
Yeah.
And not have to make a tough call. Right now, there's a lot of content on the DC side that, maybe issue 1 will be on there before the hardcover and stuff comes out. Maybe.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a weird, I have not read a single issue of Death Metal because it hasn't been available on DC Universe and that kind of stuff. So that's one of those things where I've had to ask myself a number of times, am I okay being behind on this? And so far, nothing's been spoiled for me, but I feel like that's going to change very soon.
Yeah. You have to be okay with that, though, right? That's the whole point of
that's the trade-off.
Yeah. Which,
I bought 3 Jokers because I wasn't okay with that being spoiled for me. So there's a trade-off.
Yeah, and I think that's going to tell you what the most important books to you are because, the things we're going to talk about on the podcast, you probably are going to want to read. We don't do weekly reviews the way a lot of podcasts do. That's not our point. Something like Metal 7, sorry, Charlie, we're probably going to spoil the Metal 7 for you next week.
I'm actually curious. Do we have all the issues of Death Metal in the shop right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we have like second prints, so I think of like 1, 2,
Yeah.
1 and 2. But yeah, I think we
We
have.
might be out of one of the early ones.
Yeah, I
2?
think we have them all. Maybe, but
I know I need to come by the shop sometime soon, so I might just escalate that so I can pick those up and read them.
yeah,
But I don't know. I need to decide.
not to diminish the story and what they were trying to do with metal, but it is kind of one of those stories where the I would think more people would find the end result maybe slightly more important than the issue to issue events. So even if an issue is missing, you're going to still get the whole story if you skip it. You know what I mean? Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah. No,
It's not like there's a massive universe altering event in every issue. It's sort of like, well, bad guys win, then good guys win. I mean, not to be dismissive, but that is sort of the point.
Charlie, I'm happy to loan you mine if they don't have them on the shelf.
Okay.
Yeah, so I tried the Marvel app for half a minute, but I didn't like that you couldn't basically like quote unquote subscribe to a title. That was kind of my one big. The DC has a sort of like most recent read, like the last thing, like, oh, jump back in. So I guess you can kind of... Does the Marvel one have a similar function? Because I didn't really see it laid out the same way.
So they definitely have the more recent stuff that you've read there.
Okay. But does it...
And when a new issue comes out of that stuff, it will appear in that list kind of thing. But I mean, I peruse the what was new this week fairly regularly. It becomes like the Wednesday at the comic shop to see what they added from week to week. And
can you add those to like a read list?
So, not that I know of. What actually really ticks me off about the app, just to badmouth the app for a moment, is they have event lists. So you can click on an event list and be like, okay, show me the entire like Absolute Carnage event.
Yeah.
But they don't have it set up in like a reading list. Like if you start reading what they suggest as the first one, you have to go back to that list when you want to read like the next part. Like it's not I'm reading this event that way. It will just kind of be like, the next issue of this miniseries is this. No, I'm trying to read the event in the order that you posted it.
Yeah, because
problem with so many omnibuses too.
Yeah.
So like there's a on the DC app there's an add to list feature. So in theory, because I mean a lot of the books that I just take home to read, or I read, if I in the shop if I have time, but I generally don't. So I will kind of read those at home. The add to list feature on the DC one is easy because when you get to like, oh, here's all the new stuff for this week, you just go, okay, add to list, Action Comics, add to list, Detective, add to list, Batman. So there's an easy way to do that. I don't know the upper reaches of that if you can only have so many lists. Maybe I'm sure if you want to read every single book, maybe you would tap that out, and you can't. I don't know, but I want to play around with the Marvel one a little bit more because I think that would make it easier for me to catch up with some of the titles, because I'm not a huge I have no interest in buying digital comics, but the digital service for older stuff, older, more recent stuff does seem to make a lot of sense for someone like me I don't care about being current on that stuff.
And the way I look at it is both the services basically come in at about the price of an omnibus for a year.
Yeah.
And as long as I read at least an omnibus worth of content a year, I am well off, especially because I can say I've already done that on a number of things.
Yeah. I just think it's really good for super casual people that just want to kind of check in. But like you said about Three Jokers or about Metal, right? The big ones you're still going to want to buy. You're still going to want to be current on. So to me, that doesn't change my interest. I still have my collection of DC. I'm still going to buy Batman. Nothing will change there. But I am more likely to be like, oh, okay, I'll read that Mary Jane series because it's literally sitting here to read for free. I'm not going to bother with it at the store, but if I can burn through it on the app or something, that does seem a little bit easier.
And I guess for me, one of the big changes it's made is, especially when I was working at the shop regularly and had a certain amount of credit coming regularly, the amount of series I bought just because I was interested in the series when an omnibus came out, the amount of sort of blind buys I did was pretty high. Like, I reached that point where like stuff was getting added to my collection that probably was not something I'd revisit after I read it once. And because of the app, there's been a number of things that have come out this past year where I've been able to go, you know what? I'm on the fence on this. Let me hop onto the Marvel app and start reading Absolute Carnage to decide, is this something that I'm invested enough in that I want to read in an omnibus and stuff like that. And that for me has probably been the biggest help, is just get a sense of what really belongs in my collection rather than what am I spending money on because it's cheap or because it's available, etc.
So, with all those apps, what do you read? Do you read anything you like? I mean, obviously, you've been catching up on some, at least for the Marvel stuff. Are you reading a lot of that DC stuff? Oh, you said you're reading some of the DC stuff, right?
Yeah, I've been catching up on, as I said, my frustration with DC is I'd really like to read more of like the Bendis run of Superman because I was very behind on that at this point, but they don't have that stuff for me to like. They're still putting out Justice League issues from Snyder, and I read those when I was at the shop, which means it's been over a year. And so like that side has been sort of a letdown in some cases, but then I've been able to read like the Recco Lois Lane that way as it's kind of been coming out. And I had not read Event Leviathan before it came to the app. And there's a lot of other series and stuff that I had interest in that I just didn't have the time to read when I was at the shop. So it's an interesting mix. I definitely read more on the Marvel app because it is more current. But I feel like when the DC Infinite app updates to only 6 months behind, and all of a sudden there's another 5 issues of Superman I haven't read, and I think that will shift me the other way for a little while, so I can catch up on some of the stuff that I haven't been able to catch up. They're still putting out City of Bane.
Wow. DC is going back to once a month too on other titles, starting with in March. So that will drop, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Justice League, that stuff down to only 6 issues behind and not 12, which could be significant.
Yep, but I'm always curious to see how this stuff shakes out. I still half suspect because it doesn't seem to be the case as much anymore, but it used to be the case that like once Marvel did something, DC would kind of follow suit and vice versa, like with the price creeps and everything else. So when DC made the announcement for 6 months, that was in line with what Marvel was doing with Marvel Unlimited. So I was like, okay, they're just setting it to the same. So, and then almost instantly Marvel came out with the announcement that they're changing this to 3 months.
Yeah.
So
it is Marvel, so I shouldn't expect quite the level of blowback, for anything DC does. But I was surprised that there was really no blowback about Marvel going to 3 months from retailers. I mean, I would hope most retailers have figured out that this doesn't really affect comic sales. It may, in small amounts with small books with certain people, but it's so minor. I wonder if DC might do the same thing.
I'm always really curious, and this is really, really hard to prove other than like my own personal experience. But like I know for a fact that I've bought stuff because I was able to read it digitally because they were either pushing it or because somebody posted a code and then fell in love with that book and went, okay, and added it to my subscription in the past and that kind of stuff. That especially with like omnibuses and hardcovers, getting exposure to certain titles will always result in more sales from me, at least.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious with a shift to like 3 months, when somebody gets to the end of a particular series, like I remember Ultimate Spider-Man, which was a huge title for Marvel for a long time.
Yeah.
They had on their website for a long time. Like it was always 6 months behind or whatnot, but they weren't charging a subscription service or anything at that time. They were just sort of experimenting with how that would work, and that seemed to work well, at least for me, because it allowed me at the time to just read everything that was up there, caught up, and then all of a sudden I was subscribing to that book in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if things have moved on enough. I know space, at least for me, is more of an issue than it used to be. That's part of the reason why I'm being pickier and enjoying digital as much as I am, just because I've taken up all the space I've set aside for comics.
Single issues.
And hardcovers in a lot of ways. Like I still cannot fit everything onto my bookshelves.
Just get another bookshelf.
You'll find a room.
I know, but I've reached the point where I don't know where I'd put another bookshelf.
On the ceiling, just
Your kid
I've
doesn't need a bed
considered
that big.
I have actually considered doing like a ceiling thing that you could pull down.
Attics, one of those attics, basements. Maybe you could clear out that storage unit in the back. Get rid of all the junk in there.
Charlie, because all you need is a TARDIS.
Yes, I know.
Toby.
So I'm not entirely sure what we're doing here. We're just bashing 2020, or we're doing
No. I want to know, one, how 2020 treat you. How you made it through.
Yeah.
You're working.
I didn't tear an Achilles, so I'm good.
You're healthy.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
Anything different coming up? 2021 seems something more of the same, at least for the first half.
Well, let's just say I got a lot heavier, and it's time to get off my lazy ass and get out again. So, but yeah, a lot of that I have to do because I was at home all day long, and you don't move around a lot at home, as opposed to when I was on my day job. I would go play basketball pretty much daily, and I would hit the gym pretty much every other day. So that went from that to completely nothing.
Home gym, baby. It's 2020, so you're the home gym.
Yeah, it went from that to a lot of watching Facebook groups and eBay auctions and wherever else I could find books at. But no, I mean, look, it was a horrible year for everybody, and I really can't complain. I mean, the year started fantastic for me, and then it just went downhill like it did for everybody. But look, I started the year at my favorite bar in Hawaii, watched the fireworks, did an awesome climb to Coco Head that first day, and I went to Europe. I did the Stranger Things Secret Cinema, which is going to be a highlight in my entire life. I feel like that I did twice, and then doing Carnival in Germany, and then it all went down. Like,
I still think you gave me COVID from coming back from Germany.
Fuck off. There was serious question marks of coming back, though. I mean, there was.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, I remember, like, when we're on the way back from London, like, me and my buddy Dave were like, wait, are we allowed back? Like, can we even fly? Like there were serious questions like, are we stuck in London right now? So, but obviously we made it back. And within a week of that, the NBA, out of all the sports, shut down games right before it one started, and one was the middle of the game, and then the whole world, or at least the U.S., shut down completely after that. So, yeah, it was very, very odd. I came back from Europe. I was at my day job for a couple of days. Things were. It was like The Walking Dead. Like when Rick wakes up in that first issue. Like it was like I went to Europe, I came back, and it was like a completely different world. Like everybody was like, "Oh, don't touch me! Don't even fucking look at me!" To the NBA shutting down and the whole world like going, like we're gonna just shut down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really interesting. So the first few months, as Charlie and Kevin and you, Ryan, know, I decided to actually work on my bookshelves, to actually move the books into where they're supposed to go, as opposed to before they were just sitting on it. And then I realized how many holes in my collections I had, and that was I mean, those first few months were horrible. I mean, because nobody knew. I mean, no, it was new for everybody, right?
And now it begins.
It was funny because I was like, "There's so many people walking out outside. I've never seen them before. Like, what the hell are you guys doing?" Right? So yeah, I like I said, I tried to tackle my book collection and realized how many holes I had, and then I guess to deal with the situation, I just went book hunting, which in ways I haven't had done in like a really long time, and it was in ways fun. It was distracting, so went through that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are. That was pretty much it. I mean, look, work got really busy there for a while, so I was busy with that. I did produced those live shows for the band for the summer, and then I did the music video for all the weekends after that live show. So
yeah, I obviously not comic related specific, but I don't know that you've talked too much about those, and I know you talked about the music video the other day, but to give people a little recap here in case they don't know.
So I mean, the state we're in, the band I work with, they couldn't do live shows anymore, so the management came to me and go, hey, can we do a live show? Me and Doma, the sound engineer, she takes care of the sound for me, or for the band, really.
And what's the band?
The Pack.
PAC.
Yeah, the Pack.
Hip hop.
Well, the live shows were called the Backyard Sessions because we were in a backyard. We had the Pack and Pete Wild. I think they were trying to attract other bands to come and do it, but with lack of money, there's not much to be done. So the Pack performed like 3 or 4 times. Pete Wild performed once. It was streamed live on Facebook. I live edited it, and my buddy Mike shot. We would show little interview segments in between. I would even intercut it with some video. But it was a new experience because I'm very much set in either shoot something live, cut it later, as in just shoot, right? And it was a new experience to do live cutting and do everything on a live level. Like it was happening. Like I had to yell at people to get into place. Like. Show starts 7:30. At 7:25, I'm like barking at people, going, "Where the hell are you? You got to stand right there and don't move and don't walk away. No back." Like it was just a different experience. And come 7:30, it was like literally like people asking, "When does it start?" I'm like 7:30 sharp. Like I would do a 10-second countdown at the end before the show starts. But that was pretty much my summer. Like every weekend, because one weekend we would do the show, the other weekend I would because I shot with extra cameras.
Yeah.
That weren't on the live feed, so I would like recut the actual show, and then at the end we did kind of like a highlight thing, like where people could chat us and they can we triggered had all the performances cut out, and we can trigger their favorite ones, do kind of a little wrap up. At the same time, band management came to me. This is totally not comic related. I'm just having on.
No, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, so as a band, they came to me. They wanted. Actually, kind of said it was like a let's just do a cheapy video. So of course, I don't really do that. I do cheap, but I don't do throwaway videos. So the concept for that music video changed completely. It was something like, oh, let's do like a video that looks like a Zoom call. To me going, well, let me double exposure some images in there to, oh, that's cool, let's shoot that, to, oh, wait, all the stock footage is too expensive, let's do a different thing. That's where I found all the glitter work and started compositing all the glitter stuff in there with light leaks with my buddy Mike. But that became a 3 months project, like three almost 4 months. Like it was literally every single weekend, besides some weekends were taken away by my day job, but it was literally every weekend I would go to this soap shop that, was an actual soap shop where they make soap. And it's nothing to do with Fight Club. but yeah, it was kind of funny because we would head there every weekend and work at the soap shop. Me and my buddy Mike, because he can't come over to my place currently because of the current situation. So we would meet up this soap shop every weekend and just work. And it was funny because we literally had like 3 completely different versions of this music video before the one that you guys got to see last week. So yeah. It was a lot of work.
It was good. Yeah, I knew you laughed when I told you, but it was legitimately a cool video. Like, I did a really good job.
You thank me so much. So when you give me a compliment, I'm like, yeah, right. But no, I mean, look. Overall, it was an interesting year. I got to watch some TV shows I didn't think I would watch, like Swamp Thing. I never thought I would get around to watching it, but literally, I ran out of things, which is weird to say. But I mean, you don't really run out of things to watch, but
there's always something else
happening and everything. Yeah, so I watched Swamp Thing, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. I reread the Grunwald Cap run because I was collecting, I was hunting down all those epic collections. I love that run, man. I love that run. I still got some holes in the Avengers epic collection, so I really want to reread that run too and figure out where my quote unquote Avengers are, because I'm not sure if it's actually the brown coat Avengers.
Yeah.
But very interesting year.
Wait, Toby, was Swamp Thing in 2020
on WB?
For me, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, whoa, now time is really distorted. If Swamp Thing was...
I never got around to watching it, and to be honest, I didn't know it was a show I wanted to watch. And it was like one of these nights where I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me just pop up the first episode. And I was like, I'm really digging this. And I didn't watch the WB one. I watched the DCU one and binged the whole thing. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I actually enjoyed that show. So, and I think if COVID never happened, I don't think I would have ever seen that show. Same for Cobra Kai. I mean, I honestly will say that I was kind of...
Netflix saved that thing, because that thing never would have that thing would have died on YouTube.
The whole YouTube thing, I was just complete turn off. Like,
nobody cares about that.
Yeah, I was like, nah, that's not a real show.
Well, they did the 2 seasons on YouTube and renewed it for season 3, but then YouTube pulled all the original content stuff, so it was kind of left orphaned with a season 3 already filmed, if I recall.
Yeah. So no, I'll be honest, that the Netflix switch that happened, like, again, it was one of those nights. I'm like, you know what? Everybody's talking this show up. I'm like, I'll guess I'll watch it. But I initially had no interest in it whatsoever, even with Charlie's recommendation, and a lot of my friends really dug it. And man, I fucking love that show right now, man. I was like, man, it's the sequel you never expected that you wanted to see. Like, it's really fucking good. It's corny, it's cheesy. The fights are horrible. Worse than Iron Fist. I'll be honest about that. So that, but you don't watch Karate Kid for the fighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that kind of intentional?
No, I don't think it's intentional. I think they were just bad. But look, the show is fantastic. Just with the balance of the cheese, the fun, the badassness, as I could quote Johnny Lawrence on the show. I just love everything about it. It's just fun, man, and which was very much like the Bill and Ted movie. Like, it was very much needed. Like, it was just fun. It was a really good distraction. It was just harkens to, like, I felt like I was 15 years old again watching all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And dude, I mean, I know this is 2021 now, but season 3, episodes 4 and 5. Oh man, made me cry, man. The Japan arc. The second Karate Kid movie is my favorite by a long shot. It's not even close. Like, between the other 3 movies, the second one I really, really, really like. And episodes 4 and 5 really leaned into that storyline, and I felt like just did it perfectly. Like, I was like, yep, this is exactly what I wanted to see. So well done. Hats off to them, and I can't wait for the next season.
So I've watched the first 2 Karate Kids forever ago, but I barely remember them. Would you watch this without those shows kind of in your memory? Does it?
Yeah, they do it. I mean, look, I tell you right now, when I watched the first 2 seasons, I haven't watched Karate Kid in a long time, right?
Okay.
But man, after watching those 2 seasons, I went back and watched all 4 movies, and then went back and rewatched season 1 and 2 again, and then waiting for season 3.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, the first one we all know. I mean, that's
yeah. I don't think I saw 2 or 3 and 4. I'm pretty sure I only saw the first 2.
Yeah, second one is the one where they go to Japan, which I always thought was the third one for some reason. The third one is kind of the third one has the most interesting, cheesiest of 80s, 90s villains of all time, who they're totally alluding to in this new season, and I'm totally thinking he's going to show up, and I think everybody else is thinking he's going to show up in the next season of Terry Silver. Hopefully I didn't spoil anything or anybody, but he's been teased since season 1, so I don't feel bad about it. But yeah, man, I mean, that was like probably the worst movie. And the way the show has gone and showed you all these other sides, like these other angles, different viewpoints of the original movies, I have a feeling if this villain makes it into the show that it just adds another side of appreciation for that third movie, which, wasn't really the best. Yeah. Now, the fourth movie, I just enjoy myself because I like kick-ass girls. That was the one with Hilary Swank.
Yeah, that's the later one, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, they got a lot of the characters back with the original actors, and I'm like, if Hilary just could make it back with the monks, I'm like, mwah, like Karate Kid, Cobra Kai. Oh man, yeah, I bow down. That would be fantastic.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
I did watch other shows too, again because of the pandemic. His Dark Materials, man, oh man, I fucking love that show, man. It's another one. I'm unlike Cobra Kai and Swamp Thing. I actually meant to watch His Dark Materials. I just kind of forgot about it, if that makes sense. And man, I love that show, man. That show is fantastic with X-23 from Logan, with James McAvoy.
Yeah,
based on
I heard good things about it.
I'm floored with that one. Anyways,
cool.
Carry on.
TV's had a okay 2020. Still a lot of stuff not coming out, but I think it's going to catch up a little quicker than the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brock, yes.
I forgot because everyone was talking about like getting omnibuses and Kevin's art, and I completely forgot because I didn't actually get anything this year. But I backed a few more Kickstarters than I normally would have.
Yeah.
Starting with Scott Snyder and Tony Daniels' Noctera.
Yeah, that comes out soon.
Looking
forward to that.
Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of Kickstarters that are coming.
So that's Kickstarters. They'll maybe be there eventually.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, 2021 hopefully will be a nice year for me reading some new Kickstarter.
You bought them in 2020. Read them in 2021 or 2 or 3, whenever they show up. Yeah, Noctera. I'm curious that first issue because it's in the new catalog order, like the actual comic. So, I talk about the store all the time on Twitter, and everything like that. And I'll actually do some numbers later. We had I don't know if anyone remembers, we had our computer crash at the beginning of the year, like at the end of February for the store. So some of my numbers for this year are not going to be like 100% accurate, but I'm going to pull the comic lists and do our top comic stuff, but I have to combine variant covers, and it's a whole hassle. However, graphic novels, much easier to do. So while we are missing some sales data from January and February, I don't think it really affects these numbers too much. So I got our top 10, well, top 11, because there's a tie here. I was actually a couple times. Top 11 sales for graphic novels in 2020. It's actually pretty. The list seems pretty. I think you guys could probably guess some of these if you thought about it. But I won't make you guys do that. Tied for the number 10 spot is Batman Last Night on Earth, and that actually came out during the shutdown. Yeah. That was one of those ones that came out right when they started shipping books again, but while we were still closed. So good to see that on this list. And Saga Volume 2. I don't know a lot of people bought Saga Volume 1 last year, I guess, and they bought Saga Volume 2 this year, or 2020, because Saga Volume 2 outsold 1, and I don't know why. That's really strange.
It's one of those things where you read Volume 1, you're like, I got to get back to this someday. And then suddenly you have a million somedays.
Yeah. So a lot of people came back, finally pick up Saga Volume 2.
Maybe they're pacing. Next, in 2021, Saga 3 will be the biggest.
Yeah, maybe that'll be
because they're pacing until it actually comes back. Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah. Sorry. People catching up. I think Saga still is our number one selling. I wonder if I may be able to pull up that list here. Firefly, the Watch How I Soar original graphic novel that just came out fairly recently, but we have a lot of subscribers for Firefly, so that's actually not a surprise that's on here because a lot of them got the original graphic novels. The Doomsday Clock hardcover volume 2 with a slipcase. So this is the one that came exclusive to comic book stores. Doomsday Clock Volume 2, Doomsday Clock Part 2 came with a slipcase you could only get at comic book stores, so we did sell quite a few of those. Coming up next is the Harleen hardcover. Again, that first print had that like acetate like overlay, which it might still be in its first print because I think their restock had it. So that was a good one for us. Again, sold way better in the complete collected format than those little dinky trades. I know what they were trying to do, but it just didn't work. Superman Smashes the Klan. It's the Gene Yang graphic novel. Toby, I feel like, did you get a chance to read that yet? That's like totally right. That's up your alley.
Oh, the Superman one?
Yeah.
I started it. I actually haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because I had the middle book missing for the longest time. So I've read the first one. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Art is fantastic in that one.
Yeah, Girahiru, I believe is how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, I actually meant to buy that for my boss's kid because I'm like, oh, this is perfect. A local writer, you know.
We saw a few around Christmas too. Yeah.
Well, kid-friendly art, but then I was like, but it is based on a radio serial where he fights the KKK. So I'm like,
But it is set up in a much more all ages story. I mean, there is,
but like it's my boss's kid. I mean, it's not like my buddy's kid. So I was like,
yeah,
I send the wrong message, so I decided not to do it. Well, maybe when I finished reading it, maybe then I was a little nervous about it when I realized what it was based on. I was like, I thought it was fucking cool. I ended up buying the trade that collects all of it. So now I have like 2 of the 3 with the
and the others,
and now I have all of it. So, but I'm looking forward to completing that one.
Because you picked up Hoops, right? That was the other book you did.
That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah,
that was the one you did this year.
Yeah, it's also a local story too. It's just, I mean, I Gene Yang is one of those where like I read it, I loved it, and then nothing happens for a while. Like I didn't read his DC Superman book, but then when I read Hoops, I was like, yeah, man, this is why I like him, man. This is
Number 5 is Firepower by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney. That's the Prelude graphic novel they did that came out right when the series launched. Number 4, we were waiting for it. This podcast makes up quite a few of the copies we sold. The Mr. Miracle Deluxe Hardcover Edition. Are we 5 for 5 here? Kevin, did you pick the Deluxe
I did not. Nope. I only have the floppies.
I have the original. I have the first print and the first collected edition.
Nice. Oh, the original hardcover, right?
Yeah, which I actually enjoyed I actually enjoyed that cover better.
Yeah, it's a nice hardcover.
I waited for the deluxe.
Yeah. Number 3 is, and this just came out. That's Reckless, the Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips graphic novel. Again, we have a huge amount of customers that just roll over, and they just pick up the next one, pick up the next one, pick up the next one. So, no surprise at all. The Reckless is our number 3 book of the year.
If people pick it up off the shelves, a lot of times they'll add it to when they ask, they go, "Oh, what is this?" And you're like, "Well, it's Sean Phillips' original graphic novel. He does these so often. Oh yeah, sign me up."
Yeah, we've kind of, people that subscribe to it, we just keep rolling them into the next ones, and almost nobody passes on them. Again, very late in the year, but no surprise. The comic was spoilers. I pretty much will guarantee you Batman, Three Jokers, 1, 2, and 3 are our top 3 comics of the year. But the Three Jokers hardcover is also our number 2 graphic novel of the year. Again, with only like a month and change of sales. But, I mean, come on. That's going to be the format that sells forever. And our number...
Wasn't that super, priced pretty well? Too,
$30. It's got extra content and stuff. It's more expensive than if you just bought the 3 single issues. But it's a hardcover form.
3 single issues though.
What's that?
But then you don't have to have the 3 single issues.
Yeah. It's a nice little collection. And number 1, if Reckless was our number 3 book, then Pulp obviously was our number 1 book of the year. A couple more, obviously, quite a few more months of sales on that. So. Again, the third, yeah, sounds right. Third in the recent criminal one-shot graphic novels. So, some good sales there for our crazy comic books. Here's our top. You want to know our top 10 life to date?
Great.
Top 10 life-to-date graphic novels. Ooh, and there actually is a tie here. Starting from number 1 down. Saga Volume 1. Watchmen. And this actually number might not be correct because...
the original?
Yeah, there's a new printing of Watchmen, and I do not believe these numbers are merged. So I actually should look that up. However, because they have, it's like a new edition of it, so those numbers would be in the other edition. But the difference between Saga and Watchmen would not equal, so Watchmen is our number 2 book. Walking Dead Volume 1, Walking Dead Volume 2, Saga Volume 2, Infinity Gauntlet, and that's no surprise. We've sold buckets of those, especially in the last couple of years. Saga Volume 3, The Killing Joke Special Edition hardcover. Oh, if only people knew. Fables Volume 1, which now that's going to be off the list because those are all going out of print because we have the new collections Fables, so I don't expect that to stick around. And then actually tied is Paper Girls Volume 1 and Scott Pilgrim Volume 1, the black and white version. So with Civil War, just a hair below that. So, we're obviously seeing, in the last number of years, because of the movies, Infinity Gauntlet and Civil War have become basically Marvel's version of Watchmen and Dark Knight and all those books that just sell. That's going to be your perennial seller at this point. Those books move now. Yeah, it's funny because I think Dark Knight has the same problem where there's been a few different editions of it, so they're not merged in our list as one title. So I wonder if I can actually pull those out and add those up.
Because for the longest time, the graphic novel was that cover where you see Batman jumping in the lightning.
There's a few different editions, and they are technically different versions, so they're gonna not show up on the list together. It's kind of like the graphic novels or the single issues with all the variant covers. Comic Cover does not do a great job of getting those merged into one title, so it doesn't. I got to find a way to get those merged so I can get a more accurate idea of what our top selling comics were. But I've said this online and on the podcast, but we can't thank the listeners, our customers, people who stuck with us through the year. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. It's crazy to me how busy we were this year. Again, obviously a lot of people doing hurting, a lot of people having trouble, a lot of people doing bad. But our people found a way to kind of get through it, and I had a lot of people tell me comics were this great distraction this year. And video games, you see this with video games, you see this with streaming stuff, with TV shows, movies. Obviously entertainment will always be a great distraction when things are tough. And this year is no different. People going crazy for collections. Back issues went nuts. Supplies went absolutely crazy. People were buying supplies left and right. Pokemon cards,
ridiculous.
I
get a call every
Magic.
day.
Magic's out of control. Yeah, if you look at video game sales this year, has been I
bought my
breaks every
first
record.
digital games this year because I was just like, I need more content. Like,
yeah. I mean, everyone. This is with everyone, and comics were no exception. Once things kind of started rolling again, we've been busy. So yeah,
God, we've been busy. Oh
yeah.
There's not a day. There's not a day where I'm not shipping.
December slowed down a little bit. It's funny. I mean, I say this every year, but we are not like a Christmas store. I know a lot of businesses do a lot of their business in December. We've kind of never really been like that. A lot of our customers are off doing other stuff. Subscriptions kind of are there, so people are not as they're busy with other shopping stuff. People come in for gifts, but we're not like that kind of mall store with a bunch of cheap pickup gift stuff. It's just never been our clientele. It's never been our base. So our December numbers aren't ever crazy. I mean, I know stores were like, they do 25% of their business in December. That's just not us. But the summer was unbelievable, just so busy.
Well, we also had the store exclusive detective cover.
Big books detective, yep, that was huge. Three Jokers was just one of the biggest books we've ever had. It's everything selling good. All our Marvel books numbers are way up across the board on almost everything, which is great. Independent stuff's doing well. Multiple, like I said, Ed Brubaker, and multiple graphic novels on the top list. A lot of original content there.
Well, Boom really just blew up this year too.
What's that?
Boom blew up this year.
Big numbers from Boom. Big numbers from some of the indies. Again, across the board, all the comic sales stuff went up. There's a little normalization now, but we have Future State coming, and that's going to be big. Those numbers are crazy. Metal 7 numbers are out of control. We're almost sold out. I got a big restock coming. The last couple issues of Spider-Man have been crazy hot. Venom, Thor are unbelievable. Crossover selling huge numbers. Lots of big hits to end the year on and start 2021. So that's a year.
We survived.
Done with 2020. It's over.
So Ryan, how many COVID tests did you take this year?
How many what?
How many COVID tests did you take this year?
I think 4. That sounds right. Yeah, I was doing it like once a month, once like every 6 weeks or so. Yeah. I got really sick a couple of weeks back, like at the beginning of December. I may have mentioned in the podcast a little bit.
Because of me.
No, yeah, I just got bad sinus problems. People, longtime listeners, I remember I had some bad sinus issues a number of years back, and they're sort of back. So we're trying to get them under control before anything.
Well, actually, you never blame me. You blame the Joker in Germany.
That's COVID. That's not my sinus problems. Yeah. What you met some Joker cosplayer or something weird?
Carnival, man.
What the hell you did?
Really good Joker.
Yeah, watch out for those guys. But yeah, things are more under control now. But yeah, I am. I'm ready for 2021. There's big stuff coming. I got high hopes for DC. It sounds like they've got some good books coming. Again, we'll talk more about Future State and kind of what all this means, what they're doing next week. I've had a little bit of time to dissect Metal number 7, and everyone's got a chance to read it. I expect big things from Marvel this year. Again, they're not going to rest on their laurels. They've had a lot of big hits. That's going to keep going. The independent books are a lot of creators going off to do their own indie work.
Yeah, because they had the time to they weren't dealing with cons, they weren't dealing with travel. They had time to collaborate.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of obviously it's just that cycle. People leave Marvel and DC and go off and do their own things, and new people come into Marvel and DC. This is always what happens. This is far from new. And we're seeing that at DC pretty big. A lot, creators kind of going off doing some new stuff, doing some original stuff. Jeff Johns, right, got his first Image book coming up. So, yeah, we'll see. 2021 is going to be a crazy year, and we'll be here almost every week to talk about some elements of it in the store and all that crap. Any last words before we go?
I think the meme that sums up this year for me is the one where Doc is explaining to Marty the DeLorean controls, and it says, "We never set it to 2020."
Yeah. Forward, always, forever.
Yeah.
Let's ignore.
Did you actually say that?
What's that?
We don't set it as a 2020 thing?
No, it's a meme.
Oh.
Just a joke someone made up.
So I watched Back to the Future on an anniversary screening in the theater, and it was like something like a doc says something like, "I wonder who is in the World Series in whatever year it was," and it was that year, and it was like the Samsons, the Giants.
Yeah.
The whole theater just went buck wild. They're like, Giants!
Whoa, a crazy dog's going crazy.
So
That happy?
I actually watched Back to the Future on New Year's Eve, and to frame the story correctly, on New Year's Eve, my internet started going out, so I'm like, crap, okay, I'm going to watch something. So I went and I got Back to the Future resuming 4K. So I put on the first movie, and I watched the first movie, and then at the lightning scene at the clock tower, I look and go, it's midnight as the lightning striking the clock tower. That worked out perfect.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Good timing. So we are going to wrap up. Patreon's being its stupid slow self. I think it's just end of the year or beginning of the year. It hasn't done any of its.
Well, it's the first day of the year was on a Friday.
Yeah, they haven't done any of the processing. So next week we'll get to all the Patreon stuff. So we're just going to use our December notes here for the time being. So pardon us if you had something to change for January. But we have to thank our good friends. Most of these people backed us through the entire year of 2020. So thank you all very, very much. Joe Duff, Jesse Peterson at the Comic Book Matters podcast, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, Craig Anderson at clearpathcoaches.com. Make sure you check him out if you want to. If you're a professional and you become just the best professional you could possibly be. Mari Miranda, he's got a YouTube channel called The Comic Lounge. Make sure you check that out on YouTube. Thank you all very, very much for your Patreon support through 2020 and into 2021 at patreon.com/comicconspiracy. If you head over to geekbox.net, which Ryan Sky keeps telling me he's going to redo that site, but he hasn't done it yet. We were totally going to record an episode this week, except we didn't because Ryan Scott fell asleep. So there you go. That's why there was no Geekbox this week. He woke up, he's like, I fell asleep. We'll record next week. Got it.
That's how you know we're old. You just fall asleep. You're just like...
He always does that. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com, Apple Podcast, and Spotify is where you can find all our previous episodes. Head over to comicsconspiracy.biz if you want to buy some stuff from us. Brock will expertly pack it and ship. Well, Brock will expertly pack it and hand it to the post office. The post office will do whatever they do. We guarantee nothing.
There's only so much I can do. If you live in Florida, if you want to buy a steel case or a Pelican briefcase to have me ship, I'll gladly do it. But for some odd reason, shipping to Florida, they really take that Ace Ventura opening to heart.
You don't want to say that, Brock. As a guy that has shipped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Pelicans, they're about 80 pounds usually, or starting at 80 pounds. Yeah, no, they go to old fast. Especially when you have to do multiples at the same time and you're the only guy in the warehouse.
Head over to conspiratobrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. You can watch him do his stuff over there. Charlie's got the Doctor Who podcast, Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension, where they're, I'm sure, talked about the new Doctor Who special.
Yep, we recorded that the same day it aired.
Any thoughts on the rumor of Jodie Whittaker leaving?
Well,
3 seasons is the norm.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's a lot of people making a big deal out of it where I'm just like, it kills me that this is the norm. I would much rather a doctor stick around longer. But when like self-proclaimed huge Whovians like David Tennant, who was a huge fan as a kid, and Peter Capaldi, and like these people who to this day will talk about the classic show and stuff for hours and hours and hours, can't stick around more than 3 seasons. It's weird.
Yeah, that's just what they do, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I put no stock in these rumors, but I figured you guys probably would have talked about it.
So the only thing about the rumor that really kind of gets to me is we are really close to the 60th. Like it's not that far away.
Mm.
So if they air a season this year, which they still claim they're going to, a abridged 8-episode season, we're 2 years away from the 60th. I don't fully kind of grasp, especially with the way that there tends to be about a year between seasons, why they would want to switch doctors this close to an anniversary where they would try and do a multi-doctor story.
I was gonna say you could have a year off, and then you bring all the doctors back for like a 6-episode miniseries or something for the 60th, right?
That would be sort of my preference of how to handle it if they could come up with a way to do it, because it would be really weird to have a new doctor kind of headline a special the way the current doctor always kind of does. Like they bring in the other doctors and stuff, but you kind of have that tentpole current doctor. That would be really a lot to put on somebody's shoulder when they first take on the role.
Yeah. Because it'd just be so overshadowed by everything.
Yeah.
Do not forget to go check out Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. That's Kevin's weekly interview series with comic creators. LeanneHill.com and Etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. That is my wife Leanne's Etsy store and website. You can go check out all her art on there. Now, if you're on Twitter, especially if you know someone who works at Twitter and wants to bump poor at Brock Sager's ban up the ladder, hundreds of requests.
It's even harder for him to get it back, right?
To make it harder?
Yeah.
Poor Brock seemingly caught in a filter, not of his own making, not of his own intentional desire.
Well,
has been.
It's an algorithm doesn't understand the nuances of the English language.
Of course.
And when you're on Twitter, you're supposed to keep everything short and sweet.
That's what computers do. But you can add the rest of us on Twitter. Ryan Higgins Ryan is myself. Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. The stores. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp. The store is Comics Con Store. And you can also check out Geekbox, like I said, just on this week. And our good friends over at Manga Machinations. Now, keep listening, because we're going to start right back into a whole new episode with myself, with Bryce, with Lane. And Lane did log off there. And Jim. They're going to basically have a very similar conversation we just had now. Just kind of touch base with them. The X-Men come up. Big surprise there. Hope everyone survived 2020 and has a good 2021. And we'll catch you guys all. Well, everyone keep listening, but for everyone that stops listening for whatever reason, or if you maybe listen to the back half first, and then now you're listening to this half, which I guess you could do that if you want. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye, everyone. All right, and now here we are with more lovely podcast members doing our end of year check-in. I am still Ryan Higgins. Let's go Zencaster order. I believe it's all in the same order for everyone. Who's here?
Jim.
I think Jim looks like he's on top of the list. Jim's here. Who else is here?
Not the same order I'm seeing.
Oh, weird.
It's all a different order.
Oh, weird. I thought it all was the same order. Well, who else is here?
Lane, are you here?
Anyone?
Nope, not here anymore.
Talk in the order they want to. Lane is here.
And then Bryce is also
here. Bryce. Good to have you back on. Lane.
Yeah, I miss you guys.
Lane, was that you hiding out in a couple of our podcast episodes not talking?
No, I think that was Toby.
Fucking Toby, man. Weirdo. That's a real weirdo.
Toby meant to join, but then just fell asleep at the beginning of every episode.
Pretty much.
And Jim, good to see you again. Good to have you on again. You're East Coast. We're gonna not. It's pretty late for you. We're not gonna leave you up too late here tonight.
Hey, I'm here. I got a glass of tea. I'm good to go. Don't worry about me.
Nice.
I'll be fine.
So this
G&T.
is not like, this is not like a real. Bryce is a Long Island iced tea. That's the drink right now. So.
There you go, Bryce. Take the glasses. Tink.
So this is not a normal traditional episode. Scott was supposed to be on, but he backed out last minute. He's super busy. So I do want to try to get Scott in before this episode goes up. If not, maybe I'll check in with him next week.
You should count on, because I've been seeing what he's been picking up lately. The bastard. He's got some serious freaking keys coming in.
I wanted him to talk about it, so I'm going to try to get him on. If not, maybe next week. So like I said, this is just like the first part. This is not a traditional episode. I really just wanted to kind of shoot the shit with you guys. It's the end of the year. It's a very weird year. I just wanted to check in, see how everyone's doing. Normally we'd be doing our end of year top lists, yada yada yada, but that's I don't know. Doesn't really work this year, especially in the TV movie end, because we've had such little content when it comes to the comic movies and shows. Everything's been delayed. A few things have kind of trickled out, but it's cat on the podcast.
What is that?
Cat's joining.
Is that your cat?
Mine.
We had my dog.
Jenny and Nico, and now we have
Not Lane's cat. It's Ryan's dog, man.
Yeah, we had my dogs freaking out earlier, so hopefully the whole Legion of Super Pets will be on pretty soon. So,
Lane, I want to say that's the most annoying feline since the Wonder Woman movie, but I'll leave that to later in the show.
Did you watch Wonder Woman, Bryce?
No, but I've seen enough YouTube
How'd you know
and
that?
enough reviews that I will at some point I will watch. It's in the backlog. But you guys, like, at some
YouTube
point,
reviews always.
and by the way, as I recall, the year that Wonder Woman 1 came out, that was my favorite superhero movie of the year, I want to say. So it's not like I'm some Wonder Woman hater. It's just, you see enough reviews and YouTube clips, and it's like, life is too short to waste 2.5 hours on a movie that should have been 1.5 hours. Especially, when you play as much World of Warcraft as I do.
I also admit I haven't seen the Wonder Woman movie yet. I did see the New Mutants, though. I liked that one. I thought that was decent.
You didn't watch Wonder Woman yet, Jim?
I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. No, I haven't. But I did see the New Mutants this year, and I liked that one.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't. I didn't know New Mutants came out.
Oh my god!
Isn't this the bastardized like horror show version?
Yeah, and it's not like it's very. It's Lane. I think we're getting a lot of. I don't know if you're moving around a lot. We're getting a lot.
Oh,
of
sorry, the cat's like moving all over. Yeah.
New Mutants came out, but I mean, they came out when theaters were closed, so like nobody saw it. It went to Blu-ray and I don't even think it's not streaming. I think it just ended up going to iTunes or whatever super quick. But I didn't get to see New Mutants. Bryce? Did you see? I can't remember if we talked about it. Did you see the last Dark Phoenix?
I still have not. Famous X-Men fan Bryce is like. I mean, again, this is another thing where like you look at. I mean, I know that Rotten Tomatoes is the worst, but like you look at the reviews, you look at the reaction critically, and like. By the way, I really.
It's horrible. I mean,
Game of Thrones chick as Jean Grey. I never liked her, just as a fit for the character. Like. Everything just seemed wrong about it, and then the reviews came out, and it was like the worst of the bunch. And it's in the queue, just like most DC movies and some Marvel movies. And I'll get to it maybe possibly someday. Probably not.
Did you see X-Men Apocalypse?
I did, and I absolutely hated it. It, and I'm on record on this podcast. Somebody more tech savvy than me can probably find the episode, but Yeah, man, that was like an awful, awful movie. It was terrible. Apocalypse is like one of the best, and I would love to have an episode where I don't know if you guys have talked about Ten of Swords or X of Swords or whatever. There's probably not as many episodes about that 22-part story as there are about Wonder Woman, because this is a DC podcast. But
Here we go.
I would love. I could do 22 episodes of Comic Conspiracy podcast about Ten of Swords. Wait. Did we decide it is Ten of Swords, even though I don't want it to be?
I mean, the official name is Ten of Swords, but I will never call it that.
That is the stupidest fucking name. Okay, but anyway, Ten of Swords, X of Swords, whatever it is, it's better than the new Wonder Woman movie. But they're both probably better than both the Apocalypse, X-Men Apocalypse movie and Dark Phoenix movie. I mean, at the end there, Fox was just trying to what keywords can we throw out in these movie titles before we lose the rights? I mean, that's absolutely what they were thinking.
Yeah, you're definitely not missing much with Apocalypse. I've heard very conflicted things about New Mutants. Actually, perfect. What a great, I guess something that did come out this year. Jim, what did you think of New Mutants?
It's a good X-Men movie. I'll put it like that. It's not great. I mean, but in the X-Men, movie universe, it's not the worst movie by far. Bryce,
box quote.
Whenever I asked if you've seen Apocalypse, I was just trying to see how far your queue is. I just want to see how long, how far back your queue is.
Movies, I have not seen the latest Fantastic Four and probably won't. I've not seen Dark Phoenix and probably won't. And those are the only two Marvel non-cinematic universe movies that I haven't seen. So my queue there is pretty short. For DC, I actually have still not seen Aquaman. Do actually want to see it. And when my son gets a little bit older, not a lot older because I went to Die Hard with him over Christmas, I want to watch Shazam because I think that he'd love that, and I love Shazam. I just haven't gotten around to watching with him. Those two I legitimately want to see. But we have HBO Max, and like after the early reviews from Wonder Woman came out, I was like, after loving Wonder Woman 1 so much, I was so ready to Christmas, dive in. I mean, we've had 2 weeks off to dive into the new Wonder Woman. But I heard that it was 2.5 hours of fine. Not 2.5 hours of good or great or bad, but like 2.5 hours of like.
Well, some people definitely think it's 2.5 hours of bad. I thought it was fine. Yeah.
It just, I was telling Jim earlier on when you were, I think, rescuing some dogs, my Facebook is activity is less than it normally is, but I've seen a lot of vitriol towards it, and I've also seen how you have dedicated a lot of time to this movie on your various podcasts.
Our one episode?
Well, between this and the Geek Box, it seems like you've spent several hours talking about Wonder Woman.
Geekbox did its own episode, and then we did our episode. I just happened to be on both, and I said the same thing on both episodes.
Yeah, they do that all the time.
Yeah. We double up on a lot of the big movie stuff.
My mistake. I thought that you were giving it an unfair amount of time of listeners' lives, but I'm clearly the mistaken one in this.
For new listeners,
discussion.
I haven't seen. I saw Joker. I saw Joker. I haven't seen Harley Quinn. I haven't seen Bloodshot. I saw Dark Phoenix.
Did Bloodshot actually come out?
Yeah, it did.
Bloodshot came out right when during the pandemic, right before it started affecting California. Brock saw it the night before the shutdown.
Yeah,
was it the last?
I feel like there's a lot. I mean, I'm sure the Bloodshot is not good, but I feel like there's a lot of movies that were unfairly timing wise. I feel really bad for the Black Widow movie. As far as I know, that still they just shelved it and they're just we're just going to put it out when it'll actually make money.
Black Widow's coming out in May, but
wasn't it coming out wasn't it pushed to November and then they were just keep pushing it out?
Yeah, it's pushed to May now, but yeah, and they said it's going to be theater only. It's not going to be on Disney Plus, but I kind of don't believe that.
Why don't you believe it?
A lot can happen.
I kind of think that you're ridiculous for not believing that. Why would they push it to May and not think they would just keep pushing it?
Well, no, they'll keep pushing it. Yeah, they're either going to push it or they're going to put it as like a premium thing on Disney Plus. I don't know that we're going to be ready in May.
Oh, a premium thing on Disney Plus. Okay, okay, so not what they're doing with these. Higgins, what is your thoughts on as far as I understand, HBO Max and Warner Brothers, they're just like, we're just putting it all on HBO Max, and Christopher Nolan is fucking really butthurt. And
yeah, I mean, some creators don't want it, and a lot of a lot of people that make money based off theatrical sales don't want it to be out. From a point of view of a consumer, I mean, being on HBO Max or Disney Plus and theaters at the same time is the only logical way to go, because there's no safe way for people to see it in movie theaters. People have that choice in certain states. I think they're out of their minds, but they can, and they have the option to see it. But in California, you cannot see Wonder Woman, right? So, unless you're going to delay it another year, I think by end of next year we'll be in a better place. But I don't think summer movies are going to happen. Not to the way they want them to. You think California is going to be? You think Oregon's going to be fully open, full capacity theaters in May? No way. No chance.
No, that's why I don't think they'll release Black Widow in May. What I'm sort of getting, so I kind of so by the way, for new listeners, for all listeners, Oregon. So I'm in Oregon, and I spent my entire life in California until recently. But Oregon has been following with regards to the pandemic, for people that don't know, and Ivan Laskanik, if he's still a listener, lover, hater of me, he can corroborate. Oregon is basically following California with regards to reaction to the pandemic. But what's good is that Oregon is never as far along as California in terms of how California has been hit. And so when Oregon takes the same measures as California, when we're not as far along illness-wise, it actually treats Oregon better. And so Oregon has great stats because we follow California, but we follow California's reaction before we are as bad as California. Anyway,
you just don't have the population center like Los Angeles or the Bay Area, not to the same degree. So
right, yep. And so. Yeah, no, I've actually found it commendable that Disney was able to be like, you know what, we could sell out and we could push the movie out in some capacity, but they didn't do that. Instead, they said, let's just keep shelving it, let's keep pushing it back. And I don't know if it's gonna mess with I assume that there's millionaires that are not getting bonus paychecks from superhero movies being released, and so I don't know how they're dealing with that. But it seems to me that they've been doing a great job of quelling those desires or ambitions, and they did the right thing, which was sort of shelving it. And I hope it doesn't age the movie too badly. And this doesn't really have anything to do with Wonder Woman, although I kind of wish that they had maybe we save the Wonder Woman chat for later, since I haven't seen it. I've only heard about it third partily. I just made up that word. But Black Widow, I'm glad that they're holding back, and I'm fine if May is still not good if they push it back another 3 months. Because while I don't think that May it'll be okay, I do think that maybe in the fall it'll be okay. And I don't know what that does to their whole slate of movies, because I know they had a bunch planned. But does that mean they release 4 next year or some unprecedented number? I don't think that'll be helpful for them.
There's 5 planned for this year, or 4 for this year and 5 for next year.
I know,
but
right. But they'll obviously have to push some of those, right? If they're pushing Black Widow a whole year. So
we could get into the point where the shows, which seem like they're all going to come out next year, they're going to have 4 of their shows next year. Those could start to affect or be affected by the movie delays if it keeps going on for too long. In the case of HBO Max, they need subscribers. Disney Plus does not. It obviously wants more subscribers always, but it doesn't need subscribers. HBO Max had a real bad launch out of the gate, so I think they realized, let's give this to people, and I'm sure they got millions of new subscribers because of it. And
wait, because of Wonder Woman?
Yeah, of course.
No. So I'm not trying to be obstinate. I'm just trying to get my mind around it because I'm having a hard time believing that. You think that they got millions of new subscribers because they were releasing Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I mean, at least
I'm not trying to be an asshole.
For 1 month. Yeah, you don't think so?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Wonder Woman was like one of the top like 2 or 3 stream things. Like, yeah, so people.
So, again, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I honestly just don't know. I just feel like there's so many subscription services out there and so many things with new exclusive things being shown. And I take your point that Wonder Woman is like a major brand name, a major franchise after the first one. And so to have the sequel exclusively on HBO Max, I just kind of feel like maybe the layperson doesn't really understand like what. I think that they sort of dropped the ball with HBO Go versus HBO Now versus HBO versus HBO Max. I think that was a kerfuffle of sorts. I mean, to say that they added millions of people that just wanted Wonder Woman, I'll take your word for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll know when they do their next quarter, when they do their next quarter subscriber numbers, right? So,
right, but they won't do it with regards to Wonder Woman. They'll say in this quarter, and it could be Wonder Woman, it could not be Wonder Woman. I don't know what else they're planning on releasing this quarter.
Well, if it was one of the highest streamed things, clearly anything on Disney Plus would have.
Did they break it down to that level?
Yeah. They had like a list of, I don't know, I'm sure I can find it. They had a list of like, the most streamed item or most streamed shows and, Netflix and HBO Max and Disney Plus, however they were able to get these numbers from. Disney Plus is at before summer was like 90 million subscribers. They're probably well over 100 million by now. Just people bored around the holidays. So, it always, it's going to come up and down. HBO Max and Netflix are attached, their standalone subscriptions. Disney Plus and Netflix are standalone. HBO Max is attached if you have HBO through cable. So that's tens of millions of people that have HBO Max through their HBO account, plus, however many millions of people subscribe by itself.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, of course they're gonna gain subscribers because of Wonder Woman. Like, it's not even a question.
Oh no, I have no doubt about that. But like when you say millions and millions, I'm just like, wow, fair enough. Like, I honestly, I don't know. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out.
We will find out.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, we've talked about this a couple times. If they keep updating schedules for when these movies are going to come out, and I think HBO Max's recent one was. All of 2021 is going to be on HBO Max, but then as well as theater release day, so both at the same day.
I hope they do Black Widow soon because a lot of people have forgotten about it. You'd be like, "Hey, what about the surprise movie Black Widow? Remember her?"
Well, yeah. I mean, the numbers of the Tenet and Wonder Woman did in theaters are a tenth of what they would have done in a normal circumstance. So
probably
they're
less.
Hold on. Yeah, they're going to hold on to this stuff as long as possible. Putting it out when 25% of theaters were open at 25% capacity is not, theaters are in the big cities, the big population areas. That's where the numbers come from. It's, that they're not going to put the stuff out if no one can go.
I agree with you, Ryan. I don't think it's going to be ready by May, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
No. So my company is like, okay, nobody's going back into the office until at least June 1st. But by the way, that's like the 5th time they've pushed back when we're going to go back into the office. Like it's
I think a few months ago, all like Facebook and Google and Twitter and all like the tech companies around here were like, yeah, we'll talk like mid next year. Don't even worry about it. I think Facebook pushed to like a permanent work from home option if you want. For certain areas, if you want it within the company. So
our company pushed multiple times last year, and the last push was like 6 months out. So yeah. Yep. So
it's going to be a while, but yeah, we're going to get to TV shows soon. So all the comic shows will start. WandaVision is less than 2 weeks. That's the 15th, so that's like 10 days away.
So was that filmed in quarantine, or was that filmed prior to? Because I know that's been in the bag, not in the bag. That's been in the plans for much longer.
I would assume the majority of it was done beforehand. I don't know. I don't remember when they wrapped. I know they just finished filming. We were talking about like Shang-Chi coming out. It's scheduled for like July, and like they just finished filming it, but they filmed it. They finished it during quarantine. So like, yeah.
So there's movies. So I don't know exactly what Shang-Chi. I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
Is Eternals already done?
Well, Eternals was done like forever ago, like Black Widow. I mean, they're working on effects and everything, but yeah, they basically had that in the can like before COVID.
Because much like Black Widow, the Eternal Marvel Legends are out. I think coming out soon, also. Yeah. So yeah. I was wondering if that one's ever gonna. I mean, that'll probably follow Black Widow by like 3 months or something like that. I would think.
Yeah, it's weird. 2021. It's WandaVision January 15th, Falcon and Winter Soldier on March 19th, Loki in May, Black Widow May 7th, Shang-Chi July 9th. What If and Miss Marvel are coming late 2021. Eternals is November 5th.
What If Miss Marvel?
What If, Miss Marvel, the two shows,
the animated
for
ones,
Disney Plus, are going to be later in the year.
Oh, thank you, Lane.
But like they haven't even started filming Miss Marvel, so who knows?
Yeah,
Eternals is November 5th. Hawkeye is end of 2021, and Spider-Man 3 is December 17th. So I think there's
wait. Hawkeye is that TV or movie?
Show? Yeah,
TV show. Yeah,
Renner.
They've already shown some preliminary shots of Kate Bishop in her costume.
Yeah.
So. It's Kate. Okay.
It's both.
Well, it's both.
Oh.
It's both.
It's based on
with Renner and his daughter.
No, it's not his daughter. It's Renner and Kate Bishop.
Different girl. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just thinking of Endgame where he's teaching his daughter archery. Okay, so it's Kate Bishop is separate, but it is Renner. Okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Something tells me just the pessimist. I'm a glass half full kind of guy until I'm not. And it just seems like that's a lot for 2021, and so maybe some of this gets pushed back if I'm looking into my Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah, I think none of those movies are on those dates. Zero. I think they all
exactly. Totally agree.
They'll push Black Widow to July. They'll push Shang-Chi to November.
At least July.
They'll just keep kind of pushing these dates back and back and back until we're at 95%. I mean, if they can open in Los Angeles, then they're opening everywhere, and so they're not going to open movies.
Yeah,
a big summer blockbuster movie until we're at until we're at 100% capacity in America. It's just not going to happen.
I do think that once the vaccine exponentially goes crazy and herd immunity and all that, I think that not by summer, but I do think by fall. So I mean, fingers crossed. But we'll see.
All right. Yeah. Long walk from New Mutants to that. But you like New Mutants, Jim. That's where we're trying to get to.
You know what? Hey, I didn't hate it. Okay. I thought it was decent. I did. Some of the characters I really enjoyed. Some of the characters not so much. But it was a good. It was a good movie. It was a fine movie. I like that. It was fine.
Hey Jim, for New Mutants fans, why should they go see this movie?
Why? Hey, it's a New Mutants movie. Have you ever seen one before? Go see it. It's why not?
That's a marketing mechanism.
I don't know what to tell you. Hey, I remember back in the day when Captain America had a blue rubber suit, or even worse, the 70s version. So I'm very happy with what we have right now, and I liked Ileana. I liked Sunspot. I thought they were really cool. In the New Mutants movie, Wolfsbane was okay. The other characters are okay, but Demon Bear was really neat. The effects for Demon Bear, and I think it's a good movie. I liked it. So
okay, ringing endorsement.
I feel like with a lot of this, it's like, yeah, just it's fine. It's something to do. It's enjoyable enough. I think I had pretty high expectations for New Mutants because it actually looked kind of cool, but it just because it looks so. No, not yet. It looks so different, but yeah, not hear great things. So,
Jim,
but
did you buy it or what?
Still on my list.
Did I buy it?
Or did you stream it?
No. I think I got the Blu-ray. Yeah.
Wait, so that's yes, you bought it.
Yes.
What?
Well, I haven't bought a whole lot of Blu-rays lately, and then I bought a stack of them when they went on sale. So I think that's one of the ones I bought. So yeah,
I did a big Black Friday Blu-ray. I buy all my CW DC shows and all the movies I don't have yet, and a bunch of the DC animated stuff. But New Mutants, like, it either was not on sale or it was not available. Like, I want to say like Amazon or Best Buy like didn't even have a listing for it. Like, there's some weird thing with that movie, like the physical copies of it. I don't know what's up, but I'm sure it'll.
I'll tell you, Bryce. I did pick up the latest Fantastic Four Blu-ray, but it's still sealed. Okay, I've never watched it. I only bought it because I'm a completionist. I got to have all the Marvel movies, but it doesn't mean I'm going to watch
them all.
I'm not. Yeah, doesn't mean I'm going to watch that movie. Okay, so again,
Jim, you haven't seen that Pearl?
No, I have seen. I've seen it once. I don't need to see it again.
But I could maybe justify that on like a 2 for $10 buy one get one free sale or something, right? Exactly. I knowingly did not pay any money for it.
Yeah, it's a buy one get one free, and you figure it's the free one. So that,
yeah.
But
so
yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was gonna say. So I know we've all had a lot of time at home over the course of the last few months, the last 9 months at this point.
Yeah.
One of the big things I found this year was people, especially after reopening, was people buying supplies to redo their collections. Have any of you guys had a chance to go through and redo, touch up, sort, organize, anything? Because that is, if there's one thing comic book fans like to do, it's not actually read comic books; it's organize their collection. That is
fucking A.
Absolutely,
that's a great shout.
I'll go first on this one. I am currently in the process of boxing up my hardcover library. I have more than a half a dozen stacks of omnibuses as tall as my waist in front of the shelves because I don't have room for them. So they're all going in magazine boxes, and then they're all going into the garage, which eventually go into storage because I might move closer to DC later this year. That being said, it's tough to do, man. It's really. I mean, I want to organize, all my short boxes out in the garage, but you start moving, 200, and this is 200 short boxes to see what's in them and label them, and at least separate Marvel from DC from independent, and then next thing you know, it's freaking midnight. And you got to move all those boxes back so you can walk back in the house because you just buried yourself in the garage. It's to organize your collection is definitely an evolution, and not to mention the money you put down for all the comic boxes and bags and boards and taking the time to do it all. So yeah, it's I've done some of it during this vacation. I'm playing Tetris in the garage with boxes, with the statue boxes, with comic boxes, and it's an evolution. And it's not a 2-week project. I'm going to say it's not a 6-month project. It's probably a good year.
Oh, I was doing about a box a week. I got the CLZ, the what was called the comic.
The app, the CLZ. Yeah.
Yeah, for like inventory because I never really inventoried my collection. I figured it's good to actually see if get a good track of stuff I'm missing, and I was picking up some runs of stuff, so I figured this will make it easier. And going through and rebagging and boarding like the older comics that were in like remember the old short boards we used to have at the store?
Yeah.
So I still had a bunch of those, and I wanted to kind of get that stuff cleaned up. And I'm about 20% done. And it is it is a lot of work. I kind of stalled out a little bit as it got a little cooler, and but I've been starting back up. And rebagging, boarding, taping, organizing, sorting. I was like, oh look, these books are all in bad shape. Why do I have these? I should get better copies. Things like that. It's great to go back and look at all that stuff, but this was not a weekend project or a month-long project. This is probably it's basically never ending because I also have new books that I'm buying that I now have to figure out how to fit into the collection. So I'm leaving space for stuff. And it is a multi-year project, but also never ending.
I want to continue it because I start going through boxes and I'm like, okay, here's my copy of First Appearance of Dead Man. Oh, wait a minute. Here's another copy of First Appearance of Dead Man. When did I buy it? Okay, here's a Green Lantern, Green Arrow 76.
See, I don't usually have that problem.
Here's another Green Arrow, Green Lantern 76. When did I get that? Okay, I'll put that one to the side. That's how you end up with 3 copies of Tomb of Dracula #1, and half a short box of Wildcat #1 gold signed editions and stuff like that.
Oh, Jim, your life is so tough. If you need to offload any of those, let me know.
Okay.
I'm just looking at this CLZ. How have I never heard of this? I'm just looked it up just now. This looks incredible. It just you scan the barcode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
And it tells you like how much it's worth. I have so much garbage that I need to like just get rid of. That I'll have a separate conversation with Higgins about. But yeah, I mean, I have a ton that I have cut up and bound, and mea culpa, and then I have a ton more that is probably worth a lot, and then like a quadrillion ton of garbage.
I was going to say you need to keep going on those X-Men binds. Go into the modern day with the it just expands exponentially.
It does, and I've literally spent. I'm not going to say how many thousands of dollars I've spent on binding. Like it's just embarrassing. And don't tell my wife. and the door is open; she can hear. So
nice.
But no, it's good times. But yeah, CLZ didn't know about it. Look at this product placement. Get that ad revenue.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, but it's very helpful, and it syncs between like the app and the website and everything, so you can access it from multiple places, and it's really cool. Now, Lane, I know you had some stuff stolen this year.
No, that was last year. It was before the COVID.
Right.
Wait, what?
Someone broke into a storage unit.
Lane, tell the story. What? I didn't hear about this.
Oh, I don't know. There's much of a story.
I could make a story out of it.
2019 when Toby and I went to New York Comic Con. Apparently,
November.
Yeah, October. So I went into my storage to grab some stuff for the con, and then apparently, I guess some criminals hit it like 2 weeks later. But the storage unit, the place I had, they were not paying attention to any of their security measures, and they didn't realize what had happened until Thanksgiving. And so they told me on Thanksgiving, oh, by the way, there's a weird lock on your door. And that's how I found out, my locker was completely emptied out. So basically I lost my entire comic collection that was stuff that I had collected, not read. Stuff that I had read, sorry. The stuff that I had not read is still local, but so everything that was in the collection.
What about like the good stuff, like keys or whatnot? Hopefully that didn't get hit.
Yeah, everything. Well, I'm not a key collector, so I didn't have a lot of keys. I was more of a, if anything, I was probably closer to being like an autograph hunter. I probably had like 40% of the comics signed.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, so
That's
pretty
terrible,
much
man.
lost the whole
So
comic
sorry.
collection, and so yeah, the one nice thing is I didn't have anything to do to start over. So I've not been cleaning up my collection since I don't really have a collection anymore.
Well, what I was going to ask was, this unfortunately has happened to a few people, but have you found, one, kind of starting over, but two, I'd say your more impressive collection is art and artwork and prints and all that. That must have been big. That stuff didn't get taken, right? That stuff you still have.
Yeah.
That's what you've been cleaning up.
Yeah.
How has that been going? Because I know, I think original art is, especially for any people that collect it these days, the prices are just so out of control.
Yes. Yeah, I hadn't been paying attention since I started collecting 15 years ago. So a lot of this stuff is just, I haven't been collecting art recently in the last, 5 years. It's been mostly focused on pops and other stuff recently, like Comic-Con, when I go with Toby. But I used to do a lot of art, and yeah, the art prices have really skyrocketed, probably 5 times what I used to pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little scary.
You were buying and collecting back then before it was fashionable. Just like Shay and I we're collecting keys long before there was people with freaking podcasts about it. So yeah, so it was a lot more affordable 5, 6, 7 years ago than it is right now. That's for sure. So.
Well, there's an absolutely ridiculous amount of stuff. During the pandemic, the price on everything skyrocketed. People are just bored and spending money, and we'll see how long some of the stuff lasts. I don't know if it's gonna crap out, and people are gonna start getting bored, and or the prices are just too outrageous. But with original art and sketches, do you see that kind of changing, at least from the people you've talked to in the art scene or the con scene, that you've kept in contact with? Do you see any of that changing, Lane, in the next couple of years? If there's no real conventions, or is it going to be almost like the opposite, where once people get back, everyone's going to start buying it up again, and because there's going to everyone's going to want those commissions again. Everyone's going to want that art again.
I don't think it's really changed.
Even higher.
I think, if anything, with everybody during the pandemic, I think what it's come down to is, because there's no conventions, everybody's been focused on what is available. So I'd say nowadays, every time a piece comes up for sale, you're getting 10 times more hits trying to pick it up, because just what else can you buy? Especially, any of the big names, like Jim Lee or whatever. There's only so many pieces he's doing a year. So you're getting that many more eyes on it and that many more people bidding on it. So yeah, the prices are just getting ridiculous. Anytime someone puts something up, you're having to fight them to get anything you want. You really have to start learning to talk to all the art reps, when they're going to have art drops, or if you can get on commission lists early, try to get on as fast as you can. Yeah, it's pretty tough. I know once it's back to having conventions, I'm pretty sure I don't think it'll change. It'll just go back to being less cyber stalking, I guess. But everybody wants to hit them.
I know, Kevin Sharp, he had been, he basically took his con budget and put it into commissions this year. So, I figure that stuff will just sort of even out as more stuff is available and people kind of come back. But then also, some people just don't, they're like, okay, well, I already spent all this money. I'm not going to get it now because, I did it during the shutdown, and now I got to pay for hotel rooms again, and I got to pay for to get in and food. But then you make it the opposite, where people that didn't buy stuff online, that people had just kind of kept their money or lost their job or whatever, when things kind of go back to normal, they may go back and start being like, oh, I missed all this. I got to start getting back into it. So yeah, I kind of wonder if that stuff will just sort of normalize. The back issues, I don't know, but I feel like stuff like original art, it's never gonna drop. The prices are just so out of control. I have an All-Star Superman page that I picked up years ago and Leanne framed for me at the store, and this dude walked in, and he's like staring at it, and he's like, how much? And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's not for sale. Just our little display area. Like, it's just store stuff signed to the store. And, it's just our little gallery, if you will. Like, it's not, just that stuff's not for sale. And he's like staring at it. He's like, no, how much? And I'm like, yeah, it's not for sale. And he's like walking around the store, and he like turns to me and he's like, $5,000? And I'm like, sorry, dude, it's not for sale. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, I wonder what is that page worth? Because I paid like $300, huh? Yeah, I paid like $300 for it, and I got it from Frank Wiley at Isotope. It was actually like on my birthday. I was like, hey, yeah, I'll buy this page. It's cool. And I looked at the only piece I saw was not as good. This is like a half splash page, and Superman's like in every panel. The only piece I saw had sold on Heritage that I don't think it's as good of a panel or as good as a page. Sold for $8,500. So let's say this is a $10,000 page. So I think this guy was thinking like, oh, even at $5,000, like, am I?
It's a steal.
Am I like? Well, the way he was kind of worded it was like, I'll way over offer because he'll take $5,000 because I just want this. I want this so badly. But realistically, it's probably a $10,000 page now, and I paid $300 for it not that long ago. Like within, what was that, 2010, maybe 2011? It was not that long ago.
Mm-hmm. Was All-Star Superman really only 10 years ago?
It was earlier than that, but I bought the page like well after the book was out.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what year it was.
Okay.
Maybe it was like 2009, but yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't like I didn't buy it like the day. I didn't buy it like when the book was current.
Yeah, Quietly hasn't made that many visits to the U.S. either.
Yeah,
$300 for a page. That's really good. So
that was probably a median price back then. Like a good page was about $1,000. A cover was about $2,000, but most pages are between $200 to $400.
Bryce, I saw your mouth moving. You're not muted, but I cannot hear you. So we may have. If you go to there's a little gear icon in the top right hand corner. Make sure you have your whatever audio device selected in there.
You saw his mouth moving?
I saw Bryce. He's unmuted. I saw his mouth move, but I did not hear him.
Oh, he's streaming video. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I see his video on here. So. Oh, we'll get Bryce to. We'll do tech support live on the show. Bryce, top right hand corner of Zencastr. There's a little like gear icon. If you click on that, it'll tell you like your audio devices, and one of them says, I
tell you, Ryan, I'm not doing video. I haven't got a haircut since the last time I was in California. So my hair's long again. I need a haircut. So.
I've done a few. I did one haircut and then everything shut down again. So, Bryce, worst case, you may just have to close Zencastr and come back in. It'll be fine though. It'll all save. So, while Bryce is getting his audio figured out here, it's been such a weird year at the store because obviously we're closed for a while and especially during the summer months, we had so many people come in once we were reopened for supplies, for back issues, prices crazy. People but also collections going up for sale. People selling. What was
one of the best books you got in for the collections?
So we've been working on a very big collection for a while. It's kind of hung up. They're sort of stalled on it's a estate thing, blah, blah, blah. It's going to take a little while. Most of the collections weren't I don't go and hunt for stuff. So I wasn't getting crazy stuff, but we did get I got a handful of, Music Spider-Man 300s. It got one of them graded, ended up being a 9.8, and again, that's one I sold that for $5,000.
Wow!
A 9.8 Amazing Spider-Man 300 was $300-400. Even graded ones were $1,000, maybe $1,500. price is just insane.
Oh yeah.
The last collection I picked up, what this guy brought in like 3 little banker boxes, and it was absolutely beat up, trashed, nothing 90s books. And then the next box was first and second appearance of Black Panther, first Vision, like a first Puppet Master. So like, was it FF like 8? I think it is early Silver Age FF. The Flash, the Superman Flash race, the first Flash race. I took that one for myself. I kept that one.
There's 3 of those. I have all. I think 3. I think there's 3. I have all.
Yeah,
parts. Yeah.
I don't take too many books for myself, but I really like that. That's one that I really wanted for myself.
That's a neat cover. I always thought, because on the left-hand side of that is the referee firing the gun, and I always saw red ink. I thought somebody did like a red ink pen, and inked it themselves. But it's on every book. I didn't know it was on the cover of every book. But I thought somebody had marked every freaking cover I'd seen with a red ink pen. That's a great cover. That's a great book right there.
Yeah.
There
was a bunch. There was like a Turtles #1 second print.
Nice.
So all that stuff went out to CGC. Yeah, like I don't buy like big collections, but we had a lot of people calling in and a lot of small stuff coming in. So yeah, it's you just never know. Just never know what people are going to bring in. We just, it's things sort of have normalized towards the end of the year a little bit. We're recording this stuff a little out of order, so I'm gonna do some like end of year charts, and I gotta kind of get stuff figured out a little bit. But
well, you had some really good days too, right? Didn't you with 3 Jokers?
Oh yeah, no. That's what I meant. Like during the summer, it was crazy. We have sort of like December kind of normalized a bit, and we had like another shutdown, and so like we weren't closed, but California did pull back quite a bit. So we definitely got a little quieter in December, and we don't normally. A lot of stores do like crazy numbers in December. We never have. Our December numbers tend to drop actually because people are out spending money elsewhere. But January, February, we don't lose money, right? People are still coming in all the time. So it's we're kind of a weird store, but not one of those stores that like, our Christmas numbers are like through the roof.
And without sales or without special sales.
Yeah. We were talking about
without sales.
Ryan and I were talking about that before the podcast about how last year affected, because like you said, you usually had outside sales, for the store 3 times a year, 3 to 4 times a year, and you didn't have that, last year. And there was even weeks you didn't have any sale at all. You weren't even open. So.
Yeah, no, we were closed for like 6-8 weeks or something like that. So and I think it was like 6 weeks and minimal for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's a heck of a time, and I hope we don't have to go through it again. But yeah, we're basically back to normal. We just have to Bryce might be back.
You're gonna have to keep me in the loop.
Can you hear me now?
Whenever
we hear you.
How weird. I'm sorry.
Those keys in, Ryan.
Keep going. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was.
I told Ryan he's gonna have to keep me in the loop when he gets those keys in. That I don't have a first Black Panther. I could have used that. I do have a TNMT #1 third print, but I don't have a second print. So you should let me know about this stuff.
I still don't have my Moon Knight first print. Thanks, Toby. I have literally the whole rest of the Werewolf by Night except for the first appearance. Thanks, Toby.
That's right. Toby bought Werewolf by Night 32 from underneath you, didn't he?
I think that Higgins got the whole collection, but then like Toby had called dibs on Moon Knight first appearance.
I'm sure it's in a box in his trunk, and he hasn't looked at it once.
Higgins was like, "Oh yeah, Toby is a much more reliable payer than Bryce." That's. Oh no, wait. This is bizarre.
Those
world.
words.
This is bizarre world.
Those words would have never left my mouth ever. Okay, let's just ever.
I was questioning why, but anyway.
Hey, you do have the second appearance of Moon Knight. You had to be at 33.
Lucky me.
hey, 33 is still a wanted book too. So.
Oh wow.
Well, after they announced the show, the price on that doubled. So now it's even harder to find. That's every book.
Thanks, Toby.
Hey, Bryce, if you want to dump that Werewolf by Night collection, we can talk. We can talk offline.
No, I'm only missing one piece of the puzzle. I'm not dumping that.
So before we do wrap up here.
Speaking of which, Bryce, what was Lane or Ryan? What was the best book you got last year?
Like for old stuff?
Yeah, for old stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Because the new stuff, the only thing that I saw decent come out was Three Jokers and Maestro. But other than that, what old stuff? What was your Grail book you got last year, if you got any?
Well, not a bad actually segment to wrap up here, because I did want to actually ask you guys what you guys did enjoy last year for the new stuff. But for old stuff, again, I don't really pick up old stuff. I mean, I bought a bunch of garbage. I took a bunch of, so I have toyed with the idea of a complete mainstream. So not the weird stuff, not like Star Trek, not like the, not continuity stuff, but a complete mainstream post-crisis set.
Wow.
So basically every DC book from 86 up, and I'm even going to fill in a few of those like during Crisis, like Hawkman and Aquaman and some of those books that were happening like at that time. So the books I picked up last year were like Aquaman Volume 3 and Power of Shazam and like the 90s Spectre series. And like this is always what I do. I buy or take for myself garbage. It's good stuff, but it's not.
Wait.
Keys are expensive.
To what end though? Just to have it, just to have them all,
to have and collect and read.
But
yeah, I mean, I've read a lot.
No, but I mean, don't you have like all of them? Question mark.
No. So my original collection when I first started buying comics was mostly Marvel, Bryce, if you can believe that. And then a ton of indie stuff.
I've heard this story before, you motherfucker.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff I ended up, because it was just kind of piecemeal random shit off the spinner racks. It wasn't like a real like solid collection. A lot of the stuff I ended up getting rid of. I sold a big chunk of my original collection back in maybe 99 or 2000 maybe. Just I got rid of maybe 2/3 of my collection. It wasn't anything great. It just was stuff I was never going to go back to. And a lot of that ended up being like Batman and Superman and some of the titles I did have from that time. So I actually did get rid of a lot of I kept like Nightfall and Death of Superman and some of that stuff, but I actually got rid of all the stuff around there. And I want to kind of go back to when like Batman 401 is like the first like post-crisis issue and kind of go back to that period and collect through. I got the Crisis box set for myself last Christmas. And that's the has all the crossovers and tie-ins and stuff. And I was like, well, this is a great starting point for me to start this stuff. And a lot of those runs, like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, and a lot of those I had that were around during that time. So I was like, well, why don't I just start fleshing out? I have every Batman book from the last 20 years. Why don't I make it every Batman book for the last 40 years? That's
Wow.
I mean,
Jesus
just
Christ.
it's a logical.
A lot, man. That's a lot.
Go back.
Did you just say that it's the logical next step?
Yeah, just to keep going back. I'm never gonna buy like Golden Age Batman stuff. Honestly, the thing that I last year was the Crisis box set. This Christmas I bought myself the 4 Justice League omnibuses. So the 2 Silver Age and the 2 Bronze Age.
Nice.
The one of the Bronze Age one is out of print, so that I actually did have to get from someone, but I got it for cover price, so I'm totally fine with that. But the rest, I have to store so I can get it wholesale. So
oof, get that dirt off the shelf.
It makes it a little cheaper on that. But yeah, so something like Justice League, I'm kind of like what I do with Legion. I'll probably collect from past the omnibuses, and I probably have most of them already. But like Legion of Superheroes, I finished off like every issue of Legion past the archives. So that's sort of the runs, because I'm never going to go back and buy like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Silver Age stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just never going to happen. So, but when you start to get into the 70s and 80s, this stuff becomes a lot more affordable or fucking practically free if they come in collections with other stuff. So
I love the Legion in the 70s, the Grell stuff. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I got through the archives.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, what'd you get?
I was concentrating. Well, I was concentrating on Shocker keys, but I finally acquired my first appearance Harley Quinn last year, and I thought that was going to. I thought that was going to be it, and then I got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 third print, and I was very happy about that. And I thought that was going to be it, but it's not. I stumbled upon. I've been working on my Journey in the Mystery run. Everything from 83 on. So I have a lot of them, but of course 83 eluded me for the longest time. Yeah. And then I stumbled upon the Golden Records reprint, not one, but two. And one of them came with the record, and it's my placeholder until I can find the Journey into Mystery 83 first appearance of Thor, because I have 84, 85, 86. I'm missing a couple issues in there up to 100. I'm missing a couple issues after 100 up to 126 when it changes over to Thor. And so, yeah, I got my Golden Records reprint of Thor, Journey into Mystery number 83 with a record. And I also found I didn't even know existed. I have a Golden Records reprint of ASM 1, Spider-Man #1. Nice. And I don't have the record with it, though, because the record's like $500. But
really?
Yeah, just the record by itself. I didn't know Golden Records. I knew of the Thor Golden Record reprint. I knew of that one. And the difference is there's no number on the front of it. It doesn't say 83. It's just the cover. But I didn't know they did an ASM. I didn't know they did a Fantastic Four #1. I didn't know they did an Avengers #4 for Golden Record reprints. Those are hard to come by.
Yeah, so they would reprint the comic inside. It came inside the record sleeve, right? Or it came like attached to it.
Yeah. And so I got two pristine copies of Journey into Mystery 83. I mean, they're not cheap. They're decent books, and they're a hell of a placeholder to have until I find my my real one, which will someday when I grow up I'll get it. So I don't know. But yeah, the Journey into Mystery 83 Golden Record reprint and the ASM 1 Golden Record reprint. Those are my big ones for the year. Those are the ones I really enjoyed getting. So.
Yeah, I was hoping to get Scott on here because he picked up some incredible books.
I know, he's sending me pictures, teasing me.
Yeah, big books. He's been going crazy. Lane, have you picked up now? Have you kind of picked up any? You been doing any art, anything big this year?
Not much in the art department. I have a bunch of them still waiting.
Yeah.
I guess if anything, I've just been trying to recollect all the Wildstorm books that I missed out on, or that I'm now missing.
Yeah.
So, I just got a...
Like what?
Someone in the Wildstorm group, he does rebinds, so he rebound all the Team 7, Team 0 books into one huge volume.
Right. Yeah, so I saw that. Yeah.
And then I guess probably the only other big ones that for this year purchase-wise was, Ryan helped me get the huge Akira hardcover volume set.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I've been wanting that for a while because I have all the soft covers and it had all the issues, and I love that series. And then I bought the Jim Lee XXL edition.
Yeah, I got that one too. Yeah, I got that one also.
I love that thing. It's 11 by 17, the actual board size of all the original X-Men books that he drew.
Oh, it's freaking Charlie size, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That thing's awesome.
Bryce,
yeah.
Bryce badly.
What is this? Is this available for sale? What is this thing? I haven't heard of this.
Yes, Jim Lee XXL, and it's you know how you had the oversized treasuries that were softcover?
Yeah.
Well, this is an oversized book that's about 2 feet by 2.5 feet. on the.
It's the size of the actual printed.
Oh, is this
the
is this
size of
like
the
those
actual card.
those artist editions that I got?
No,
Very similar.
it's bigger.
Yeah. Same idea.
Do you sell it, Higgins? Can I?
We had it. I don't know if it's still available.
Oh, Higgins, you're killing me.
Hey, keep going. Yeah, that XX. Keep going, Lane. But I'm going to look it up for Bryce real fast.
Oh, that's pretty much all I got this year, I think. And then I'm still waiting for the new Jim Lee one that's coming out. What, is it now pushed to March?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so,
A Jim Lee X-Men artist edition? Shut the front door.
No. Jim Lee XXL is what it's called.
I'm looking at it.
No,
It's not available on
the one
Amazon. And what is this? Goodreads? Goodreads wants me to like sign up or something. Oh, it's not available there either. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Essentially, it's like the artist edition, except it's the actual full color comic as opposed to just the black and white pencil.
Get out of here. I mean, I'd take either, but woof. I'm getting hot and bothered just thinking of the idea.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful, and I have to take out a folding table to look at it because it's so freaking big.
Yep. The first
All
book
right,
I have,
Bryce.
I can actually kill someone with.
Anything you pick up this year? Well, let's wrap up here. Do you get anything good this year? Besides your regular monthlies? Anything you want to talk about?
Let me think. I mean, not really. I did a little mini. I haven't dove into this CXL whatever app yet, but I finally came to terms with the fact, my kids are not old, but I finally committed to my wife that I'm gonna actually clean up. I have so many boxes and boxes and boxes of books that I'm actually going to, at some point in the near future, which I've been putting off forever, going to go through them and see, what's worth what. And this is probably going to be a separate conversation offline with me and Higgins. But yeah, just trying to, everybody's spring cleaning. So, I have so much garbage and so many gems, and they're all amalgamated. And they're all bundled together all over the house in various nooks and crannies that, my wife's trying to hide her new Amazon purchase and surprise, there's a short box there. So we're both confounding each other. It's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I didn't make any big purchases. I sort of, in terms of, the old adage of buy low, sell high, I figured this is the worst year to buy stuff, even though I know a lot of people are buying stuff. But I've sort of not bought stuff because of that. And so I'm just all right, well, maybe I just, in terms of everybody's COVID budget, fattening their wallets, what's happening over here? I feel like I'm in space. Let me turn the volume down.
I found it for you.
Okay, thank you. That was what that was on my third computer that I have running. So sorry about that. Yeah, so I just take away this maybe this bonus comics budget and sock it away for when times are easier for buying low, selling high. So yeah, no, I've just been sort of going along and
you're keeping those binds though, right? You're not selling those off the gym or anything, are you?
The binds, no, I still have the binds. Although I'm so frustrated. So for those that have never heard me before, I have X-Men from Giant Size X-Men. I mean, not the originals, just reprints, but all the way to modern day. When did we start at Higgins? It was I want to say 2010, 2015.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Somewhere in there, we got in this big binding kick, and I bound or prepped to bind everything from Giant Size X-Men all the way to modern day as it was then. And it's so funny because I have 80 to 90% of it bound, and just these minor holes. It's so wild. No, my problem is that I have these gaping holes. I have volumes 1, 2, but not 3. But then I have 4 through 10, but not 11. And then I have 12 through 49, but not 50. I have these bizarre holes because of I'm such a nerd about being completionist about this bind. And then we moved to Oregon.
If I remember correctly, it was no Wolverine except for the crossovers, right? Is that what it was?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Wolverine can go fuck himself. I mean, I love Wolverine, but adding him in would have added a dozen more. And then when you're binding these things, it's like $30 or $40 per bind, as I recall. And, like I was saying earlier, like when you're binding, 100 books, which I probably have, it's absolutely crazy. So anyway, I haven't bound in years. I prepped them all back years ago, and so they're all ready to go, but I just haven't done it. It's been tough too. So my family and I, for new listeners, moved to Oregon 2.5 years ago, and I mean, obviously, still love my comics, but the loyalty to Higgins makes me not really as impulsed to go to new comic shops here. Not that I haven't, but like just not as frequently when I was going to Higgins and bothering him twice or more a week. Anyway, so it's all good, but it's good in terms of 2020. I want to make sure everybody sees The Boys too. I think that I talked about how good The Boys 1 was, but I'd be remiss to talk.
We just finished. We just finished season 2. It was really good.
Season 2 is good.
So I'm like halfway through season 2. Season 1 I loved. Season 2 I've been loving. So that's been great. I'm excited to see the Umbrella Academy is coming back, as far as I understand. And
Yep.
I don't know. So Higgins, have you talked for new listeners? Obviously not me, because I listened to every episode. For new listeners, have you talked about Ten of Swords, X of Swords?
I don't think a single person on the podcast has read them.
Unbelievable. I think. Higgins texted. So for new listeners, Higgins texted me. Well, not new listeners because they never heard this. Higgins texted me. Higgins texts me like once a quarter. And if it's not about him making more money off me, and he's like, after 30 years, I'm done with X-Men, and and that's totally fair because I felt that way multiple times during my life with the X-Men.
I have not read every single book, but since I read the first issue of Uncanny X-Men, I've read every issue of X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. I've come and gone from X-Force and X-Factor a couple times, pretty sure I've read every issue of Wolverine.
I mean, I don't want to bury this conversation in like the 2-hour mark of this podcast, but like,
we can have a bigger X-Men talk with you.
Maybe we do that. Maybe we do that because I am curious because I've loved Ten of Swords, whatever. X of Swords to me. But
I can tell you the book that broke me.
Please,
it was X Factor #1, the new X Factor #1.
Oh, is that one that hasn't been mailed to me yet?
I don't know. Do you get X Factor?
That doesn't sound fair.
You got the crossovers.
Oh, I did get the crossovers. Who writes X Factor #1?
I have no
Wait,
idea.
that's the book that broke you, and I don't have it. That doesn't seem like a fair argument.
We'll talk about it later.
Let's talk about it later. Anyway, all in all, I would say this year sucks for everybody. I don't think this is the worst Marvel year. By the way,
no, that's really good stuff.
And so it's sort of interesting to have had worse years for Marvel, even though this year was just so awful, like for literally everybody.
What's so great about you moving and not being on the podcast as often is it's happened exactly when Marvel got good. Like
I would just be even more insufferable.
That is a matter of opinion, but okay, keep going with it, Ryan.
The last year and a half compared to the last couple of years compared to like 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, those were shit.
Yeah.
Now, like most of the books are pretty good. Like obviously the stuff that doesn't click for everyone, and X-Men's not going to be for everyone. I'm a little off the new Avengers book. Jason Aaron, I don't know. I just don't like the whole current layout standard of the Avengers. But FF's been decent. Spider-Man's been good. Spider-Man's been really good actually. They're publishing books people want. They also have their, kind of new reader focused titles, but they're not the majority of the line and taking over the existing ongoing titles. They're very much their own thing, and that's the way they should be because, a casual new reader isn't going to want to jump in on, the 17th volume of Captain America, right? I mean, it's going to be its own little standalone title. So I think we may have lost Bryce again. Bryce is having some audio issues. Well, we were at the end of the episode anyway. So, but yeah, they I do like a lot of what Marvel's been doing. Our sales have been really good comparatively to previous years. So
And I don't want to get into it now, but Marvel has improved. But at the same time, there are certain titles that they were going to release that didn't really show some positive reflections.
Sure. I mean, if you want to completely ignore the champions and all the new characters, you can do that. They're not in anything that don't affect anything, right?
As long as I get my pillars, as long as I get the ones that are holding up the Marvel universe, I'm happy. They can do whatever the hell they want with the new characters, and I hope they do.
Right. DC had the same problem. They tried a very similar approach when Marvel did, and it bit both of them in the ass. I don't care. Introduce all the new characters you want, but don't get rid of Amazing Spider-Man and Incredible Hulk. I mean, Immortal Hulk's different, but it's still the same.
Right.
Those characters are very important, and
they're important to a lot of people. It's I don't want to get into the whole Mando thing, but. Yeah, there are certain characters and certain heroes that are very important to people that have impacted their lives. And these hardcore fans are the ones that have the money now who are actually paying. And, so they're the hardcore fans that want to support those characters. And they don't want to see, change is fine, but, some change is fine, but please don't get rid of them just for the sake of. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. I have no problem with introducing new characters, but when it comes at the expense of existing characters, that's when I tend to have a problem with it.
I love Bryce's new name.
Yeah.
Wow, the joys of the internet.
All right. Well, are we going to keep going, Ryan? Or
no. Like I said, that was basically it. It was just a touch base and talk to everyone and sure everyone's doing good. And we're gonna have a more normal episode starting next week, going back to normal. I'm sure we'll have some news to talk about, but it's the end of the year, it's quiet, or beginning of the year, it's not a lot going on. But
I got a lot of omnibuses coming out this month, and looking forward to the X-Men Volume 4 finally coming out, and Moon Knight's coming out, and
Omnibus 4 is coming out?
Moon Knight Omnibus is coming out, yeah.
Oh, no, I meant X-Men. You said Volume 4.
Yeah, Volume 4 is out in May, I think, yeah, so.
Ooh, doggy.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out, man. Just because I'm boxing up the library doesn't mean it's not going to keep coming in, so I got to keep on those... Got to keep on those omnibus. I guess I just picked up the New Mutants omnibus. That one's great. I love that one.
So, Jim, do we love the hub or hate the hub?
What hub? I don't use the hub. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Ryan's still trying to convert me. I did the very minimal on the hub that I had to do to keep my account going. I'm a hub minimalist. That's it.
You don't have to use
you
it.
And Toby.
You don't have to use it if you don't want to.
Nah, the books that I want aren't on the hub. The books that I want are the collections that Ryan gets in. That's what I want.
I'm sure Toby's going to turn to me in 7 months and be like, "Hey, where's this book?" I'm like, "Well, it came out 6 months ago, and also you never ordered it, so I don't know."
Yep. Yeah, but that's just Toby.
Oh,
all right.
Well, actually, I have a quick question for you, Brian.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Go for it.
Bryce, I sent you another. So.
Oh, we're getting a little crossed. Jim, say that again.
Oh, I was just telling Bryce I sent him a link to look at that XXL. So.
Oh, okay. Lane, what's the question?
I was going to ask, so going forward for 2021, do you see any trends or anything that you think is, going to blow up for the next year for comics?
I mean, I don't think anything's going to change. I think for the most part, things are going to be pretty stable. Marvel seems to be in a pretty good place right now. They'll have new books and everything like that, but I don't see anything changing. I think their numbers are good. I think they're in a good place. Again, fandom is fandom, but I feel like the numbers reflect pretty solidly on Marvel. DC is going to be interesting because they obviously had the layoffs, so I know they've trimmed down their line, but everything I've heard seems like they're going to slowly expand back out. At least that's what I've been told, or that's what it sounds like from people in the know. So I would expect, we'll have a bit of a thinner line with Future State and coming out in March. But they have a bunch of new titles coming, and they're doing some backups in the anthology, and I think that will just pad the line as new books get announced and come out. I mean, the indies are on fire right now. Every big creator is doing an indie book right now, and this is pretty common. But every 10 years, all the big people at Marvel and DC leave Marvel and DC and go to Image or go do their own independent work, go work in Hollywood. And we get a whole new batch of creators, and this happens all the time. This isn't the end of Marvel or DC because they lost a bunch of people. They have new people waiting. This is just the way the industry works. I think you're going to see a lot of big indie books. Obviously, Scott Snyder and what's his name, James Tynion and Aratinian, and they've got some big books coming up.
Jeff
Johnny
Johns.
Case, obviously. Johns is going to do his Image book, right? I mean, he doesn't have any, as far as I know, he doesn't have a book coming from DC. He's doing that Stargirl like backup, but I don't, or not the backup, the one shot story in the big one shot coming out in March. But yeah, I would expect he has something coming from DC. I can't imagine he won't be back for a 3 Joker follow up or another miniseries or special or something. But
he has the Batman Earth 2, right?
Yeah, Batman Earth 2 and
or Earth 1, whichever it is.
Earth 1 Volume 3.
Yeah.
Just checking something really quick.
Well, I guess you don't see any like bold predictions for anything weird going to happen this year, like a reboot from Marvel, or I don't know, anything, just something weird.
We didn't talk anything about DC and all their firings, man. So I'm not as up to date as Bryce is on the podcast, so I don't know if you guys even talked about it. But I was concerned about this, if there's going to be a third round, if they're going to actually have enough people to actually get the books out. So,
for new listeners,
we've talked about all this, and no one was fired from DC other than Dan Didio. They were all laid off as part of corporate restructuring, which is unfortunately very common.
Well, why do you say that? Wait. What? Nobody was fired. They were all laid off.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Not the same thing. I mean, as far as we know, Dan Didio was fired from his position. That is, I mean, it was sudden. It happened.
No. But again, I'm not going to be an arselock. I'm saying, is it better to be laid off than fired? You said nobody was fired, but there was a bunch of people laid off.
Yeah, laid off means like laid off in giant corporate restructuring sucks, but was necessary. Firing means you've done something wrong. Generally.
Okay. Right. It doesn't seem like you're answering Jim's question at all, which is sort of trying to get to the bottom of like the corporate restructure.
Well, yeah, I mean, DC let go people because all of Warner Brothers let go of people. They've restructured all over the company. So, yeah, a bunch of the highest paid people, the longest employed, got let go, and they.
Okay, so they're trimming the fat. That's very normal.
Yeah, which is again very normal, especially a company that's trillions of
Okay, yeah, billions, not trillions.
Hundreds of billions.
Take it easy.
Well, I mean, AT&T's debt is very significant. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think there's only 1 or 2 $1 trillion companies, as far as I understand.
Yeah. They're 100. Well, 100 and they were like 170 billion in debt. So yeah. They I mean, books are going to come out. They'll have new editors. Existing staff takes up current positions. Books are scheduled through March. They have graphic novels scheduled through the end of the year. So, I mean, they're talking. We already have teases for events coming out. Nothing's going to change. I mean, it sucks when you lose editors and people in the back end because clearly they know the talent. But I mean, if you're worried if they're not going to publish an issue of Batman, yeah, of course they're going to.
Well, fucking spoiler alert, they're going to continue to produce Batman. What's the? I mean, look, I don't think anybody thinks DC is going away.
Some people do. Some people do. X-Men's Rob Liefeld sure does. He talks about it all the time. I got an alarm on my phone to tell me the date when he said DC is going to be out of business by. We're just counting down. It's in February.
Why do you waste your time with that?
Because
that's the kind of time that Ryan has. That's all.
I guess so. That seems like too much time in your hands. Wait, so but for normal sane people, it seems like that's sort of an exercise in masochistic behavior or masochism. So
hey man, lots of angry people on YouTube with stills of their mouth agape in the YouTube icon or the YouTube thumbnail say DC's going out of business this year. And
let me guess, you've watched them all.
I would never watch a single one of them. I would never give them a hate click. Clearly, they don't do this so people can hate watch and become angry and they get money from this. No, clearly they're doing this for journalistic reasons.
Right, for clicks.
Yes.
Okay, but really, ultimately, to answer Jim's question, I believe what he was ultimately trying to ask is that the layoff, the cutting of the fat was just part of a corporate restructuring that is happening across the globe, and that they're just like they're realizing that profits are just going to be less. And this is a question, even though I'm stating like a fact, and they are just trying to streamline their business units. Is that what is actually happening?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and again, that's happening across the entire company. So they did sell Crunchyroll, right? Which was $1 billion sale, which was an anime streaming service. They sold that to Sony, and that's just something that they felt like they didn't want to be in the market for. Again, Crunchyroll is all licensed properties. It's not new material. It's not owned by Warner Brothers or AT&T.
Well, it's like the YouTube of anime, right?
I mean, sure, yeah, it's the Netflix of anime.
Sure, okay, better.
So that. I think they, something like the DC, where they own the brand, they own the IP. That's huge. That's huge for them. They're going to want to keep that stuff and exploit it. And they said they want 4 DCU movies in theaters, 2 on HBO Max, and at this point we're up to like a dozen TV shows at one time. So yeah, they're never gonna like dump this stuff. The comic line.
Wait, hold on. I just have to pause you. Do you remember when we were going to have a Flash movie and a Cyborg movie?
I mean, they're all back on. Not Cyborg isn't, but Flash is back on. It's like out in 2022, they said.
I don't like. At some point, do you ever put the Kool-Aid down?
No, I don't believe it either. That Flash movie's never going to... The Flash movie as it existed over the last couple of years will never happen. Like, we will get a Flash movie.
Like, wasn't the Shazam movie supposed to be a Black Adam movie with The Rock?
Black Adam's coming. I mean, Rock did a promo for it at Fandom.
I'm just saying that about a decade ago.
Oh yeah,
when Marvel was flying high, we had an infographic from DC about their expectations, and
Cyborg's never happening. Okay, and do you know? Like, go look up the actor if you want to see. That dude has burned every bridge available, so there will never.
No, I'm just saying that you just love DC, man. Everybody loves.
But I'm just repeating what they said. Their plan is for 4 theatrical movies a year. I mean, they haven't hit that. They're nowhere near it. I don't know that it's going to happen, but they had 2 this year. So,
do you think it'll happen?
It could. It could if Warner Brothers actually,
I mean, bro, do I think it's going to happen? Ryan, I've known you a long time.
Do I think they're going to? No. Do I think they're going to?
Absolutely think it will happen.
And 2 on HBO Max. That's a bit too much.
Can somebody Can somebody timestamp this? Nobody's. By the way, nobody's listening anymore. This is way too long. We've been going on way too long.
Jim, to answer your question, I think they're trimming down the line because they have fewer employees to process everything, and as they as they get better at their jobs and are more secure in what they're doing over the course of the next couple of years, that will expand out, and they'll slowly ramp the schedule back up as new teams come in. So that's my expectation. No one's going out of business.
I don't get a whole lot of DC, floppy comics these days, but as long as they're still putting out the omnibuses of the older stuff, I'm happy. Yeah. So.
Well, DC, after a couple of years of like a bunch of weird shit, they really doubled down this year on omnibuses and stuff's been coming out of a good clip. Nothing's getting canceled. So
that doesn't help them going forward, though. Like, reprinting old shit is great, but like that doesn't help them going forward.
But I'm happy.
But I don't think we're talking about the same thing, my man.
I know. I'm poking fun. Yes, I agree with you, Bryce. It doesn't, but if what Ryan and you describe is true, and they're just trimming the fat and trying to streamline the comic book their comic book industry, then as long as they put out the books, I don't care. But
it's not just comics. I mean, the entire company did. They reorganized the entire entertainment division. Every element of AT&T and Warner Brothers has been cleaned up. Every position's moved around. Some people got let go. So yeah, I mean, it's all super common. It sucks for the people that are like, oh, they fired them. It's like thousands of people lost their jobs. It sucks, but it's unfortunately just very common. So yeah, no. And back to Lane's ultimate question. I mean, I think it's a year of rebuilding. It's a year of kind of normalizing. No one's going to want to rock the boat in 2021 because the boat's barely holding together as it is. I mean, they're going to try to.
We just got this dumpster fire out. Let's just keep it cool. Let's just relax.
It's burning pretty. It's actually burning the most it's ever burned. So we'll see what the next couple of months bring.
Yep, I agree.
But it was great catching up with you guys. Great having you on. Again, like I said, we'll have a more normal episode next week. But yeah.
Yep, cool.
That's it.
All right.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to hit stop in this recording. Please leave your window open for a minute, and I'll talk to you guys after I hit the stop button, and we'll talk to our wonderful listeners next week.